everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of Roundtable Live. Hey!
Woo!
Hi!
Woo!
Welcome,
Yay!
folks. We're live on twitch.tv/Roundtable Podcast for the first time. We've done this before, but not in the actual podcast form.
It's true.
We've done the, fun little Roundtable Podcast broadcasts, which were not confusing in any way, right? Everybody got that message straight out of the gate, so
I like them because they rhymed.
That's true. That alone
Only
feels
reason.
like the only factor that really matters in naming something to me. As long as you get a rhyme scheme going.
Duck Game was a good part of it for me when we played that.
Oh, well, that didn't rhyme though.
No,
So that's
I
a
like
problem.
playing it though.
Well, you can make it rhyme pretty easily.
With some words.
Fuck
Some
game.
words we can't say.
We can't say them or we'll get the explicit mark on Twitch, and then I have to check another
for
box.
that.
It's the kiss of death.
I figured out how many little things it takes to get a Twitch channel running the way you need it to. It takes a long time. That's one of those checkboxes, along with 7 others I had to tick. I counted 7 checkboxes necessary to make Twitch Roundtable Podcast a full-fledged thing. I know. Yeah. Somebody feel bad for me, please. On today's docket, we've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about, though, and it's relevant, believe it or not. It's timely and, topical. Candy Crush. The makers of Candy Crush have been purchased for an obscene amount of money. We're also going to be talking about how Arkham Knight...
Whoa!
What?
I don't want to be wealth shaming anybody. There could be people watching this for whom $6 billion is just like par for the course.
Let's drop that on a weekend on alcohol.
Magic the Gathering.
I think there are 8 people who that label applies to. Not just like listening, but total ever in the course of human history.
All here.
That'd be great.
Even Notch doesn't apply.
No, yeah, I don't think he's in that. I don't know. Would $6 billion be pocket change for Notch? That's an interesting question. We'll have to talk about that during the Candy Crush segment. Also, new Rocket League content on the way, and they're talking about doing an event in an arena, which is incredible. That sounds awesome as shit, so we want to talk about that. Also, Epic Games an hour ago just announced a new game called Paragon, and the only reason I'm bringing that up is because I can. That's what's fun.
Topical.
Yeah, I love it. Then we're going to be talking about a couple of games, Kingdom and Downwell, and then, of course, there's going to be the Afterbirth discussion. It will happen. The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. Yeah. I keep having to do that, and I wish I didn't have to.
Don't Google it for thumbnails. I tried. It didn't end well. Don't do it.
They're not really being very SEO friendly with this one, are they? They're kind of going out of the limb there. But that is...
The one is just going to be called The Binding of Isaac, Pictures of John F. Kennedy.
Oh,
John F. Kennedy, or The Binding of Isaac, the Zapruder film.
Mm-hmm. Or the Serbian one. That's the other terrible one,
that's
right?
the other. There's
Binding
a lot
of Isaac, the Serbian one. Also a new Call of Duty game coming in fall.
Is that? Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, the Serbian one.
Oh, yeah, the Call of Duty, the Serbian one. Oh, my God, that would be... I would buy that based on name alone. If they can make it rhyme, that would certainly be, push me over the edge.
Serbian fun.
Lerbian with the Serbian Call of Duty. I should stop this train. Let's talk about Candy Crush. Candy Crush. Okay. Candy Crush is a match 3 game.
Yes.
About Candy.
King Digital, the company responsible for Candy Crush, and many, many other mobile games as well. I shouldn't just limit them to that, because obviously they've found brimming success in a marketplace like this.
Can you name 3 other than Candy Crush?
Oh, see, now you got me on the spot here. Okay, let's see. They've got Candy Crush Saga, Candy Crush Soda series,
that's still Candy
Crush Butterscotch Edition.
He's trying, though.
I give him that. There is an effort being put forward.
They had, I actually knew one of them off the top of my head, but it was,
Farm Heroes.
Farm Heroes actually might be one of them. Yeah, I think
Farm Heroes Saga, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That's not a joke.
Kind of sounded like it.
Do they make their titles with the South Park manatees with the balls that just move across the tank?
Doesn't
and
it
they
seem
put them
like
together?
that a little bit? Yeah. They've got a lot of properties, these guys. Actually, Candy Crush only makes up 1/3 of their total revenue, so it's not like they're a one-hit wonder either. Yeah, they've got a lot of stuff going on. I think they've got they've got 3 of the top 10 grossing games on the App Store right now, which is obviously huge. And then, just Candy Crush in general has kind of spawned a whole bunch of other stuff.
This Wikipedia article is the smallest one I've ever seen for a company worth $6 billion. Their entire article is basically like, make like iOS games. That's about it.
So I went to King.com, and it, like, all of their games are match 3.
Oh,
So you
yeah,
got
no, that doesn't surprise
Candy
me.
Crush, Bubble Witch, Pet Rescue, Diamond Digger. It's all just the same exact game with new skins.
Man, just going
Most
here
expensive DLC skin packs of all time.
Exactly.
Just going here now, you
capita.
mentioned this page. Like, I'm looking at the figure. So first of all, we should mention the story here is that the Candy Crush developers, King Digital, have been purchased by Activision for $5.9 billion. Nearly
Wait, what?
$6 billion.
You said a B with a B there.
A B.
Yeah.
A B
A
sound.
Big B with a huge
Yeah.
B.
As a- yes. Just for the sake of comparison, this is taken directly from a BBC article, so I won't act like I did the research for this at forefront. Microsoft purchased Mojang, the creator of Minecraft, for $2.5 billion. That was a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
but
Well, that's not a very
$2.5
popular
billion.
game, clearly. so-
No, yeah, there's not a big audience for that one. Facebook took over Oculus for about $2 billion. That's not exactly a direct comparison, but it's something to keep in mind. But another pretty big one that is pretty relevant to this purchase, EA bought PopCap for $750 million.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, doesn't that one freaks you out a little bit, right? That one is like, whoa, this is now on an entirely different scale, with PopCap only being valued at $750 if you just base it on the transaction alone.
The subtext here in my head, and maybe I'm off on this, but I believe Bejeweled was the originator of the modern form of the Match 3 game, right?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to say that, right? There's not really anything else that
So-
holds the water in that realm as much as Bejeweled does.
To kind of end up going down that line where then later on this company that sold for that amount sort of took a derivation of another person's idea and made so much more off it is very strange to me.
It's a tough... I mean, the idea of, like, being the pioneer of the Match 3 is probably going to be kind of impossible, too, right? To actually make that claim.
I mean, but to the modern mainstream version of it that we understand it to be now.
I think what King Digital done they've made Match 3 into something that disguises it as a more universal Match 3.
Candy.
Right? Yeah, Candy. Everyone loves Candy.
Wait,
But they don't like Jules?
I've literally
Jules.
actually never seen anybody play Candy Crush.
Really?
But
So
here's
it
what-
was... Oh, yeah, go ahead. No, please.
Here's my understanding of it from seeing people talk about it on Facebook and Twitter. It's a Match 3 game, but it's not about high scores, right? Like, it's about you beat levels and then progress through the game.
Right.
But you can also buy help. Like, that's
Yeah.
where they make their money, is you can be like, oh, this level's too hard, I'll just pay $1 and beat it.
Yeah.
It's basically exactly what
Well,
it is.
you
And it
can
was-
buy like more lives. Okay, so here's how I understand how Candy Crush
games.
works right now. They've got a system where you lose a life, and so you have like 5 lives in your stock, and then when you lose a life, it takes 30 minutes to replenish that life so
Oh,
you can
fuck
try again.
that.
Yeah, no, it's the classic mobile game design, right? Like
But
that's
it's
the trap.
genius in that you can gain more lives by getting your friends to join and like help you.
Oh
so you
my
spread the game via
Genius
being
by
like,
being
It's what was
scummy as
happening-
humanly possible.
Yeah.
it's genius because it nets them. The company makes like
Fuck
$1.5 billion a year, I believe. Is what they said.
$2.26 billion was their reported revenue in 2014.
So it's just
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot of money. So they're making an investment that they're at least hopefully get back in a couple of years. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And this,
But,
I mean,
smart.
first of all, this company has been around for a while. They were founded in 2003, so it's not like they're, all of a sudden just cashing in. They've been doing this stuff for quite some time. And I think that shows, I think with the fact that they have 1,400 employees for a company whose primary service is Candy Crush, like that's kind of impressive. I think this is just an organization that understands how to exploit this model right now way better than anyone else. $2.26
not-
World
billion.
of Warcraft crush soon.
It's not
Yeah.
sustainable, though, right?
Yeah, okay, so that's the other
that's
part of the
what it is.
conversation, right?
You look at this and you look at Zynga, whose stock price started at like $15 when they went public and now is worth like $2.30 or something, like $2.30 to be fair. And Zynga also buying OMG Pop for like $230 quadrillion. So an unfathomable amount of money. And then later, like, firing everybody that they bought from that. And you're just like, man, you know, there are very smart people working at Activision, I'm sure, because they're huge. But you look at this and you can't help but feel like nobody's going to be playing Candy Crush in 2 years.
It's important to note as well that this is Activision Blizzard that made this purchase.
Yeah.
So this is a very specific branch.
Candy Crush has already been around for a goddamn long time. People have been playing Candy. I remember working at Cheesecake Factory, 3 or 4 years ago, and everybody was playing Candy Crush like on their break or between, you know, tables or whatever it was. And this is like 4 years ago, and it's still making them billions today. I mean, if they can keep people hooked, if they just keep it going, it doesn't matter, right? They're still going to make the money. It's been around. It hasn't gone anywhere.
I think just because it's so well known, it just keeps propagating itself indefinitely. Right?
Well, yeah,
it's just sort of like the mobile game that people get.
Yeah.
Well, I think the problem with Zynga, and the reason why I don't think Zynga's a fair comparison necessarily, because Zynga was Farmville, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was Facebook. You had to be
That's
on Facebook
correct,
to do it. These are on your mobile phones. Like, everybody has a mobile phone. Everybody's playing these on their break at work or wherever. They have maybe they have 10-minute coffee break, they're playing it or whatever. I think it's hard to compare them when the other one required you to be on Facebook on a PC.
So let's compare it then to, like, Rovio, I guess. So Rovio, the company behind Angry Birds, which was, as you mentioned, the game that people downloaded on their phones, right? So that's kind of what has been the phase of all these big purchases. Rovio wasn't ever bought by anyone, but they, you know, were operating at a pretty substantial profit for a long time.
Well, as of 2013, they were making a measly 156 million euros a year.
Okay, yeah, so maybe they're not so high up there anymore.
That's not the 2.2 billion that King makes, actually.
Yeah.
They're no longer the people who to $6 billion is a drop in the bucket too that we were worried about earlier on.
And they've been around since 2003 as well, so they're probably like, oh, what are we dragging our heels here?
Yeah.
We've only had 4 feature-length films based on our physics-based platformer games.
Did you see the trailer for the Angry Birds movie?
I saw the trailer for the new Angry Birds movie, and I was like, this is fucking trash.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it's not for me, but, you know, you see a trailer for, like, a Pixar movie, and you're like, that looks great. And then you see this, and you're like, oh.
I'd rather watch the Grumpy Cat movie, honestly.
The voice actors just sound like they're just like, where's my paycheck?
Yeah, basically. Which is, you know, enjoy. Nothing wrong with that.
But with Rovio, I mean, it really is predicated on that idea of being the dominant player on the mobile space, because we're only hearing about these stories from the companies that are making the #1 sellers. So it's kind of like a PewDiePie situation again, where you hear all these stories like, oh, he's making billions of dollars doing this crazy thing. It's like such an easy cash in. No, these are the best. These are the #1 players in the game, like, that are, you know, cashing in pretty hard on this. So Rovio did that with Angry Birds, and they continue to do that with Angry Birds. Angry Birds is still up there. Angry Birds is still doing pretty well, but it's no longer like the billions upon billions of dollars that it probably was a few years ago.
Dude.
What's up?
Look at this sentence, this passage. I know I'm off in, like, no man's land here.
Angry Bird movie land.
The Angry Birds movie production tab on Wikipedia. The film's budget is estimated at $80 million. No big deal. In addition, Rovio and Sony Entertainment will spend $100 million on marketing. Whatever. This would make it the largest budget in the film industry in Finland. Blah, blah, blah. Despite the massive budget, Rovio's CEO stated, "It's the only thing about this company I don't lose any sleep over, and it's tremendously strong as a story." In August 2015, Rovio announced that they were expecting to cut 250 jobs, aka 40% of the company. The only sector spared from the job cuts are personnel working on the movie. What?
Whoa!
What?
That sentence is like very revealing. That's interesting.
The story is strong.
Yeah.
That's right.
All-in moment, man.
The birds are angry. There's reasons. There's a plot.
He's turning this into a film franchise in his mind.
The game sector is done.
Yeah.
We're cutting it.
It's all about the movies now, yeah.
We hired you 8 months ago. Everybody else is gone.
What if the birds are just angry because of the projection of the CEO's psyche?
Ooh.
Oh,
now
maybe
it's
he's
deep.
the angry one.
Yeah, we started talking about Candy Crush, but really we knew
no,
where we
dude,
were
that
going
is
with
the
this.
next big game, Angry CEO.
That would be good.
He just
Why
fucking
can't I make enough money?
hurl them at his peons that are just standing on their desks trying not to cry and shit themselves. That's how I was whenever my CEO was around. I never really got any confidence in the professional atmosphere. Yeah, I was just constantly shitting myself. I couldn't hold down a job because I was just taking a dump wherever I went, man. I didn't have any control.
It's a rough life.
So so we touched on this point of the conversation, but is this a sustainable thing? Is the question, obviously. So for this to be a good purchase by Activision Blizzard, they obviously have to get a return on their investment, right? But their investment is $6 fucking billion. That's so much money. That is a ridiculous amount of money, and that must mean that there's like, what is going to be the next Candy Crush from King Digital that we don't know about? Like, what are they gonna do over the next year or two that's gonna make this worthwhile to Activision? I have no idea.
Seems unfathomable to imagine. I can't really come up with anything. That's the
question about mobile games, right? Is the idea right now is that you basically come out with something and it's an unfathomable success, and then repeating it is the hard part because it's literally like 80 games come out every day on iOS.
Yeah.
And you got to be the one that stays at number one for like 6 months or 2 years to justify something like this. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they can make another match 3 that is iterative and people like it as well. But you look at Zynga and you're like, man, they didn't like repeat their success very well at all.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
I don't imagine there's much loyalty either amongst customers of those particular brands or companies, right?
The developers. That's the other part of it too, is that there's probably not a lot of loyalty, but they do have the marketing power of owning and controlling 3 of the top 10 grossing games. So like all they'll have to do if they want to make something a new IP kind of a same degree of success, or at least try to, is just plug in little adverts for it in the Candy Crush Saga games and just say like, hey, remember how much you like this? Well, we've got a new thing called fucking Eat Your Dicks, and you get to match up 3 dicks.
I love that game.
And
Eat Your Dicks
get
is
the
so
mouth
good.
there, and you get a munch, and then
you munch.
then you munch your way to a win.
You munch. There is an element we're not discussing, though, and that's we don't know the exact specifications of their monetization for Candy Crush, and there is a possibility that they've generated years' worth of metadata about their customers that has a large bearing on why that valuation is so high.
This is you're thinking on your feet here. This is the smart.
You're thinking.
Well, I think this is like the real story. Yeah, not really what we were talking about.
We got all this bullshit speculation, but yeah, that actually does make a lot more sense. So they're not buying King Digital; they're buying King Digital's data, basically, is what you're saying. That is a good point. Yeah, they have. Let's see if they've got numbers here, actually. I'm sure they've got numbers.
You said they're from 2003, so that's a lot of years if they're accumulating customer base information.
Yeah, and just that. Well, I guess, okay, so here's Mr. Zacconi, who I believe is the CEO of King Digital. He says, since 2003, we have built up one of the largest player networks on mobile and Facebook with 474 million monthly active users in the third quarter of 2015.
That's like 1 out of every 12 people on Earth.
How many did you say?
I'm telling you, man.
400 million?
This is not registered users. This is 474 million monthly active users in the third quarter of 2015.
That's so many people.
I'm telling you, the scheme in which they have people share the game is genius. It's like, you could pay for an extra life, or you could share it with friends and get free lives that way, and it's like, that
doesn't just make you want to vomit?
It does, but
no, it makes them money is what it does.
No.
A lot of money.
Vomit money.
Sorry.
Yeah, the game vomits money.
It really does.
Like I said, I just remember in Cheesecake Factory, everybody was playing, like everyone from the managers to the bartenders to the servers to the cooks, they were all playing Candy Crush all the time.
They should like do their job sometimes.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Maybe those Cheesecake Factory employees should get a real job, like reporting on these stories, huh?
It was ridiculous, though. Like, Candy Crush was everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's still very similar if 474 million people are playing it a month.
I assumed that the curve with Facebook would go down just as hard, but apparently not.
No, I guess, I mean, first of all, I'm pretty sure Facebook is kind of starting to, die off a little bit as far as everything is concerned. I think they're, going the way of MySpace in the next few years here. That's my personal projection, but that might be entirely
Facebook
wrong.
For the top-notch political commentary of my friend.
Oh, yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. That and, like,
Yeah, good
ads.
stuff, really. And well, yeah.
I like to be served ads on Facebook.
I love to sell my data to anyone who wants it at any point, anywhere.
I like that whenever one of my friends likes a video, it shows up on my feed.
Yeah.
So it'd be like, wow, check out this like super nice guy, and he like buys a homeless dude lunch, and then they eat, and I'm like, oh, that's touching.
Yeah. Well, oh no, that actually sounded like genuine and sincere. Now that
We're
was
just
really,
like,
That's what I fucking got you. I hate that shit.
I just like the shit that pops up on your feed. It's like, you will probably like this.
Yeah.
And it's just like one of those community pages of like the funniest past 10 vines of the week. It's like, I don't need this. I
Thanks,
hate
BuzzFeed.
This. Yeah, thanks.
top 6
Exactly.
vines about cockroaches. Who do you think is the best cockroach? Vote now.
Keeping in mind, Bear is like the face of top or
Yeah,
trending,
exactly.
Hey, dude.
So, you know.
Don't compare that to Facebook videos. I think we hold
No.
ourselves to a certain standard, and that's not the one. Well, I think Activision's gonna do okay. What do you guys think? You think they'll be
King
all
of
right?
Sellouts.
I think they sold out at the exact right moment before they wouldn't be able to make that amount of money ever again.
Yeah, I would have done the same thing.
How could you not, right?
Yeah,
It's obviously, like, without being super rude, it's a company that doesn't give a shit about, like, their design vision.
Yeah.
Why, if someone comes to you and says, hey, we'll give you $6 billion, isn't that the end game?
I'm worth
Like-
7.
You mean, like, instead of waiting 5 years to make $6 billion, we could just make it, like, very soon? Okay, like, that's...
Then
After
again, though, I
making a
mean,
couple billion a year.
yeah, that's a valid point, honestly. Like, you think about that, when you're a company that's making $2.2 billion a year, maybe 5.9 is not, like, an instant sell
Right.
number, you know?
I don't know, man.
Keep it on the back burner. Well, they're just trading the future speculation versus the immediate and going, well, how long do we think we can make this amount of money? We got to get out while we're on top.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just think about, if we boiled this down to, say you ran a company that was making, you know, $226,000 a year in revenue, which
Thanks,
obviously
YouTube
is,
Red. Sorry.
which is obviously not that huge, but then you look at it and it's like, okay, if I'm making $226,000 a year and somebody offers to give me, $1 million, then that's not immediately like, you know, snap, oh, I'm going to do that, right? And I mean, obviously, there's a big difference between that and literally $4 billion of extra money. But
The big difference there is that, you know, every single, like, couple of million that you add to that means never having to work again for one more person. Right. And there's 30,000 $2 million increments involved in $6 billion.
yeah,
So, I don't know.
a little bit of a devil's advocate there, play maybe, I guess, but yeah, I think it's pretty easy. So $6 billion sold, got it.
There's nothing you could not pay me $6 billion for. there are like, outside of like killing myself or my family or my friends.
Harming anyone.
I'm not even going to say killing anybody. Let's say killing I probably wouldn't kill a stranger for $6
How far do you want to go with this, man? This
But
might...
if I knew somebody was...
This is on the internet, man. You know,
They already made a movie about this. Northern Lion gets a box in the mail. He hits a button. He gets $1 million. Someone randomly in the world dies.
He doesn't even need $1 billion.
$6 billion.
They don't call it the $6 billion button, man. They call it the...
You telling me you wouldn't press the button for $1 million?
I probably wouldn't press the button for $1 million.
Yeah.
That's no.
Not in this day and age. Maybe back in the 80s.
What if I pushed the button and it killed me?
Having seen the
you don't
movie,
die.
I wouldn't push the button. But had I not seen the movie ahead of time, I might
It's about
consider
like
it.
it's like an alien thing, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it's like it's some otherworldly force. I don't want to spoil this movie that I don't remember the name of, but I
The
remember
lesson
the
is-
entire plot of. Oh, okay.
Since you were a small child, they have introduced this concept of the monkey paw. If anyone gives you a good deal, you always get skeptical immediately. That's the trick.
That's actually like a really good cautionary tale for real life.
Yeah, no, I
If anyone's
totally
like,
practice that.
hey, free trial, fucking free samples, be careful. If I'm at Costco and they're like, hey, you want to try this? I'm like, back the fuck up.
See, I don't want to admit to anything incriminating here, so I'll just say I have a friend who sometimes watches online NFL streams, and I have to recognize that when I'm checking this stuff out, there will often be streams that are like, you know, 1080 HD direct satellite feed broadcast, totally free, and I'm like, great.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, but something's happening here that I don't know about that I'm going to be paying for later on. But for now, I'm going to enjoy.
You mean your friend will be?
I mean, my friend will be enjoying this high quality free NFL live stream
You're
content.
That free keylogger. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's man, that's just I don't know. It's just a crazy story. I can't believe there is a company that makes mobile games that is valued at $6 billion. That's just unreal.
5.9 billion. All right.
I'm sorry.
That's where we've
That
put
is
our
$100
cultural
million.
priorities.
I should make that clear. Yeah.
Crushing candy. That's what's important to us as a society.
Man. You know, in 2000... Wait, how am I even reading this?
What's up?
Okay.
know.
This is 1980. I don't want the video game industry total income in 1982. Google.
$10.
It was actually like 11.8 billion in
Jeez.
1982. Well, I'm trying to-
1982. Wow.
Video games industry in 2013 was 70.4 billion. There you go.
Man.
Activision's acquisition of King is equivalent to 10% of the entire industry
Oh my god.
for 1 year.
That's nuts.
King
Yeah.
Digital was making like 4% of all game revenue.
You're not wrong.
That's insane.
They didn't even have to put up radio towers. Sorry.
That was neatly slid in there. I like that. All right. So Batman's still broken, everybody. I just want to let you guys know.
Has anyone here actually checked it out since the re-release, or are we just kind of like you too late?
I'm
right?
going off
was-
articles.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's off articles. I was one of the very lucky ones where it ran perfectly on my PC.
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember
don't-
you playing it quite a bit, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I got lucky, but I know like it's broken for most people.
Yeah. So Warner Brothers is offering full refunds by the end of the year, by the way. PSA, if you own the game on Steam, you can get a full refund if it's not working at all for you, so there's that. But they've sort of just given up on it now, it seems.
Well, they didn't give up. They added a bunch of DLC.
Oh, okay, so that's about the same thing.
So that's good.
Yeah. Did they really? No, they didn't. They didn't.
Yeah, no,
like-
they did. I tweeted a wall of DLC. It was a bunch of shit all on the same day.
Was that recently?
Yeah, it was like a week ago.
No, God. Oh, that sucks.
I just
didn't
I was
even
just
know
looking
that.
through Steam new releases, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of stuff. Oh shit, that's all Batman
That's
stuff. and it's
Arkham
all-
Knight stuff?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I have to look at this now. Okay, hold on. The Arkham Knight has new DLC because that's
Yeah,
kind of
it's like all the old Batman movies.
I didn't know that you guys didn't know that. I thought that was
No,
common
I had
knowledge.
no idea.
So the game went off the shelves, the
Yeah.
digital shelves, for a long time, and the promise was by sometime in the immediate or near future we were going to patch this so that it works for everyone,
Yeah.
and then we're going to move on forward with our heads held high and go into the new realm of digital distribution strong.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, what happened is that they just put the game back on, patched it in about 2 weeks or so, and that's about as much as they could change in terms of fixing things.
Yeah,
and
this
then
is
just
unfixable problems.
the big change was that they added a bunch of UI elements that allow you to buy things.
It's a lot of costume packs, essentially.
Yeah, there's one like story element, I think.
They've
right?
got
And the
A
rest
Matter of
costumes.
Family. That's the DLC, I imagine. And then there's the Harley Quinn story pack as well. There are like 15 DLC items. Jesus Christ. Couple of $2 things. Crime Fighter Challenge packs. Bat Family Skin pack.
And they had the requirements were like 12 gigs of RAM or something, if I remember.
Skin pack is a weird... That's a weird sell, isn't it?
Bat family skin pack. It just doesn't feel right when you say it.
I'm gonna click on that.
Let me buy my... Hold on, honey. Let me buy this pack of skins. Be downstairs soon.
Oh, it's good to be in the Bat family.
It is. So yeah, it's still... I mean, that's unfortunate, man. It's just... They're actually problems that they cannot fix, which is... I don't know, it's like a very difficult concept for me to grasp. Especially for a company of Warner Brothers' size and caliber, you know? Like, that is a daunting idea, that Warner Brothers actually can't fix the problems.
No,
with
isn't
DC
it just,
port.
it's like, it's always possible to fix, but they're putting the resources versus what they think they can do in a certain amount of time, and they're saying, well, it's not worth it to us to fix it. They'd have to spend more to fix it than they would to just leave it.
True. But now we have
And it
to...
would return their investment.
Yeah. We have to think about like where they must have left off when they put it back on the store, though, right? It was like, where were they in the process of trying to fix things when they put it back up whenever it was, like last week, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends on how much of a mess the third-party developer left them, because they took it back into first-party hands after they took it off the Steam thing, and clearly whoever was porting it over did so in like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it's just that broken. So I'm curious. I know very little about coding. I'm very curious what kind of mess they're dealing with, because the other Batmans worked well, like Arkham. I think Arkham City was actually kind of a little bit of a buggy mess when it launched, but over the course of a week or two, it was, you know, like a typical Bethesda release. Essentially, worked out the bugs, worked fine.
Yeah.
But this is just not even close to that, and I don't know why. I'm very curious why that's the case.
Well, we had the conversation when this initially was happening, when Arkham Knight had come out, and we were all just completely baffled at, you know, like how many things were wrong with it. But
how does this happen?
Yeah.
Basically?
And then, I mean, it kind of just is happening again after they acknowledge and try to repair these problems, which...
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be a little silly, I know, but Ryan...
Yeah.
You being the only one among us who has any, you know, a modicum of programming experience...
I don't like where this is going.
You don't like this going? Okay, I know. I recognize that you are not a seasoned game developer with multiple AAA releases under your belt. But just think about, like, in terms of, you know, like how broken a game can be to want to, you know, like how... I don't even know what question I'm trying to formulate here, honestly. It's just like, is there a reason that you can suspect would, you know, like cause all these issues, or like that would result in just sort of a fuck it mentality at this stage?
Without like coming to WB's side, I would say just like, you know, making games is pretty hard, which is, I mean, it's a big complex project with like hundreds of people working on it, and you know, you're doing QA for like an incredibly broad spectrum of, you know, Windows versions and service packs and hardware configurations, blah, blah, blah. You know, people are trying to play your game on PCs that are like, you know, a Chromebook from like 2009. And then people are trying to play it on like an enthusiast PC that's really strong. At the same time, like not if any company, because there is King. But if there are groups of companies that should be able to QA test properly like that and develop those, it should be a company with the resources of WB. So... It's mostly just, it's still pretty unfathomable, I guess. Yeah. Especially considering that this is also, like, the fourth one in the franchise, like...
It's weird that it happened now, right? That's I've been thinking about that, too. Like, it's very strange that after multiple successful releases and... Okay, so they got, you know, the handling of the ports and all the different intricacies of changing over staff and developers, you know, maintaining franchises. I'm sure there were some things that got swept under the rug as far as all that went, but you know, now it's boiled down to Warner Brothers issuing statements that say, we apologize that people continue to be unhappy with the PC version of Batman Arkham Knight.
That's like, yo, sorry if you got offended. I'm not going to apologize for what I said. You know, we're sorry people are upset. We're not sorry that we upset people. We're sorry that you're upset.
But they are, I mean, okay, to offer them the olive branch, too, as well. They all are completely complying and offering people full refunds for the game. So
till the end of the year, right?
Yeah, till the end of the year. So you've got plenty of time. If it's still not working for you and you were bummed out by that, then you can get it fixed, and it's still just broken and probably will be forever. So that's sad. I think that was kind of the decision we ended up on the first time we talked about it, too, right? We just sort of...
My cynical guess at what was going to happen was we were going to take this off shelves until around this point, and they were going to try and make a big splash when it came back and say, this is the new Batman Black Edition, and we're going to couple in a bunch of DLC to say we're sorry, and then also you can buy more DLC. And then all of a sudden it'll have an increased presence because now it's the holiday season. So they kind of didn't really hit that, but they still offered the DLC, but they also offered the refunds, so it's a little bit scattershot about how they landed there.
It's a pretty good prediction, though, more or less along the lines of how things played out. You know, you didn't nail it with the Black Edition, but I think you got it.
I'd rather that it just worked. Honestly.
Yeah, that would be preferable.
Batman Bat Family Skin Edition.
I really like that.
I feel like the industry moves so fast right now, though, that like I mean, it came out in May or something, right?
I think
June.
July
June.
or
No,
yeah,
I think it was June.
There you go.
And I feel like just nobody gives a shit anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because it's November and there's like Fallout 4 is just
Right.
eclipsing everything right now.
Yeah,
but
that's the hype train is heading towards the Fallout.
I feel like I'm like Batman Arkham Knight. Didn't that come out like 8 years ago or something like that? Like I just don't care at all now. But
Yeah,
I wonder if
you're right.
maybe we should slot it in right after Assassin's Creed in case that bombs really hard again. Nobody will notice if we're back on the shelves.
Assassin's Creed, yeah. Syndicate is what, the second worst selling game of the franchise.
Yeah, I mean, in that same regard, too, speaking of things that I consider easily forgettable, Assassin's Creed Syndicate just like fucking
Have we moved on
went
already?
right by. Yeah, it just kept on going. It was
never
approaching and then
acknowledged that
it
we've moved
never
on.
stopped. It just kept moving.
They're on their mic, they ring their bell, they wave, they keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard it wasn't like I heard it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But there was just no
it's
desire
more
for me to
Assassin's
play.
Creed.
Yeah, I'm
Hey.
just like I've had enough of like parkour and fist fights. Like that's I'm okay for a little while.
I got
you
a
come
free
back to
copy.
me in a year or so, but maybe.
I got a
Things
free
will
copy
change.
because I bought a graphics card, so I'm going to probably try it. And I'll check in with you
fun.
later.
Yeah, it's seriously, it's pretty good, but it is nowhere
different.
near as meaningful anymore. It's just more the same, and
Isn't it cool to walk around London, or is that not a big deal?
it's just like okay,
It's another
it's London.
place.
Yeah, it's just another Assassin's Creed place.
I feel like it's like the Harlem Globetrotters or something. Like you just wait until Assassin's Creed does a game in your city, and then you get excited. Like when people were doing like when Syndicate was announced, people that I know from the UK were like, "Oh, that's actually pretty cool." Like you suckered me into this one.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't really care. If they did like an Assassin's Creed Toronto or something, I would be like, I'll check it out.
Famous assassin in Toronto.
What
It's
would
coming to my
Assassin's
city,
Creed
man.
be? It's like future Mirror's Edge, I guess. That's when we finally come around and acknowledge that Desmond finally gets his own game or something.
Right? Yeah.
Desmond goes to New York.
Desmond goes to New York.
Desmond
Oh my
does
god,
New York.
It's like a fucking straight to DVD release for Assassin's Creed.
Spoilers. Desmond's been dead for a while.
Shut up, Mathis!
No.
What is your problem?
Fire
He's been
Mathis.
dead since Revelation.
Can't talk about that here.
Spam the Fire Mathis emote in chat that we don't have yet that we'll have one day.
Him now. Out of a cannon into the sun.
Shit. It's over. Oh shit.
Oh shit, dude!
I guess with Assassin's Creed, my problem is it's like they kind of initially created that rhythm-based combat, then Batman perfected it, and now Assassin's Creed is just like never as good as Batman combat.
But Batman's broken, so now we have to play Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Well, that's true. Well, on the PC. If you're gonna play it on console, just play Batman.
Yeah, if you're on console, by the way, for Arkham Knight, then you probably already beat it and you had a great time.
Why are they talking about this old ass game?
We're all PC elitists. I'm glad that I moved out of Salt Lake City then, because I think Assassin's Creed Seattle is probably a lot more likely than Assassin's Creed Salt Lake City.
Well, they already
It's
have it,
gonna be.
right? It's infamous.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And Boston's getting Fallout.
Boston's
Yeah,
getting Fallout
Assassin's
shooter.
Creed takes other forms than just Assassin's Creed, doesn't
There's
it?
a lot of Assassin's Creed games. You got
They're all over
Infamous.
the place.
Yeah.
You got Assassin's Creed Mordor.
You got Prototype.
Crackdown.
Yep.
Assassin's Creed Mordor was actually really fun for me. I don't know
It
why.
was the best of the recent Assassin's Creed games.
It really was. Because they had that Nemesis system in it, which actually did change it up a bit.
Yeah, and at least they made like the tower climbing a little bit more meaningful in Assassin's Creed Mordor, as opposed to just being another little unlock thing.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Ezio looked weird though.
Yeah,
You've been working out.
Assassin's Creed Pirate Edition was really fun.
I'll come to bat for Black Flag. I'll be honest.
That game was pretty good.
I
They
really like
wanted
Black
a
Flag.
full-on though pirate game. Like,
It's
I
true,
think-
yeah.
Didn't they make it for Vita?
They
I
did
thought
do-
there was like a spin-off.
They did a PS3, like a pre-PS3 generation
Oh.
exclusive one called
Rogue?
Rogue that was more like nautical focus.
It's really hard to keep track of all the releases of that game.
I really feel like we're in like an alternate reality. In the real timeline, Assassin's Creed 3 disappointed people, and then by Assassin's Creed Next, people were just like, whatever. But because Assassin's Creed 3 disappointed people, and then Assassin's Creed 4, a lot of people think it's the best in the franchise, it kind of gave it like is like, Grandpa shouldn't be alive right now, but
Yeah.
modern medicine is doing.
We shocked him back to life.
Yeah, that's not really Grandpa, but he's still moving, right?
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much what I feel about it. And now finally they're like, okay, like the adrenaline is out of the bloodstream, and
He finally was able to sign the DNR, and the family finally pull the plug. This is a really sad metaphor.
Let's hope we fucking do it this next year.
We're sorry, Grandpa.
Mathis, there actually was an Assassin's Creed Pirates game, apparently.
I thought you were gonna say Assassin's Creed Grandpa.
No, I wish. No, Assassin's Creed
Black
Pirates.
Flag?
No, yeah, it was a mobile game on iOS
Oh.
and Android in 2013.
Oh shit, that's why.
Yeah, by Ubisoft
Download
Paris.
that. Gotta make room. Gotta delete my Candy Crush.
Seriously, dude, you gotta get rid of Fallout Shelter and make some space for Assassin's Creed Pirates. That's what
true.
you gotta do.
Shit. They're like, you guys want pirate game? Mobile.
Straight up
I
fucking
like
pirates.
that Batman conversation we just had for the last 20 minutes.
That was a good one.
realistically, they're already like 75% done with the next Assassin's Creed, right?
Oh, certainly.
Probably
yeah.
like gone gold already.
Like, even if they were like, we're not gonna make any more Assassin's Creed games, it would
Like, we
take
have
till
2
like
more.
2020 until they got the remaining ones out of the hose.
Well, for the next game in the main series, Syndicate was the 9th game, believe it or not, if you're looking at just the main series entries. So you've got Assassin's Creed 10 on the way.
Okay.
Fuck, man.
Which is that's Assassin's
it
Creed
X.
X. Yeah, it's gonna be X. Almost
10
certainly.
games in 8 years.
I haven't played too much of Syndicate, but at this point, like from what I've played from Syndicate, it's like they have just taken their story and just went throw their hands in the air and just went fuck it.
Oh fuck
Like,
it! Yeah, who knows anymore? Yeah, it's.
We don't care about our story anymore. Just go kill people in London, have fun.
Well, I mean, when you carry on a franchise for a certain length of time, there comes a point where the story just sort of have to fucking go out the window. Otherwise, there's nowhere you can go with it.
Jumps the shark like Fonz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking do a Final Fantasy and just make them individualized stories that take place in the time period. Who cares about the overarching modern day nonsense sci-fi bullshit?
They really wanted to pretend they were the writers of Lost, and then they found their way halfway through the Lost season 3, and then figured out they had no idea what they were fucking doing.
Yeah, exactly. So they succeeded in that they became the writers of Lost.
Became the writers of Lost.
Man, that's weirdly accurate. That is a really good comparison.
Thanks, man.
Fucking, I was just reminded of On Live, by the way, just by
Yeah.
looking at the Assassin's Creed Wikipedia page. That was a thing that existed.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I tried to come to bat for On Live too, way back when that was just in its infancy, and boy, that was a mistake.
It's like a sweet thing if it works.
Yeah, and
Properly.
it didn't ever. I tried it a lot, and it never worked. But
Yeah.
I won't talk about On Live because it's dead now. All right, here we go. Batman's done with Rocket League. I still love it.
I like that game.
You guys still playing Rocket League? I'm still playing
No,
it
but I will
daily.
soon.
Last night, I was like, maybe I should ask Bear to play Rocket League. But instead,
You
I just drafted in Magic. And then, like an hour later, I saw that you were playing Rocket League, and I was like, could have done that.
Do you feel like you made the right choice?
I went 2-1, so I feel okay about it. But,
Okay.
Rocket League is a better game to relax. And also, it's a
I don't know
lot
about
cheaper.
that.
Yeah, it depends on how you're playing it, I guess.
That's
When we get ice hockey, we need to get the group back together. I want to
Man,
play
I
more.
know. So check this out. There is so much cool stuff coming to Rocket League. This is just straight up going to be a gush piece, I think. We're changing the format a little
Can
bit
we
here,
not
though.
call
from
it that?
I'm going to call it that because
gush?
the,
You don't like
the
a
way
gush
I'm
piece?
talking about it, yeah.
Comes right out of our gush piece.
How did you know what I nicknamed my genitals?
Get it right out of the
Oh,
hose.
Jesus, dude. What did we call our... Oh, no, that was the match 3 game, right? Eat dicks. Yeah, that was
Eat
the one.
Nom, dicks.
Change is coming to Rocket League. There are a bunch of new features coming. This is basically what people have been wanting from Rocket League ever since we sort of got tired of playing the same old 3v3 and 4v4 stuff. There's going to be all sorts of new shit. So there's going to be new map things. It's not just like new arenas. It's going to be new types of maps. It's going to be like different sorts of goals. Asymmetrical stuff, I think, is in the works right now. And then there's going to be mutators for your car as well. So they're going to allow you to make, small adjustments. Probably won't make huge differences in the grand scheme of things, but there will be game modes that allow for your alteration of your vehicles and the mode around you. But I think what everyone's the most excited about, now that Ryan's back and we can get properly excited about it because we have the Canadian here, is
Ice hockey.
Ice hockey's coming in.
Yeah.
We're going to have Rocket League hockey.
Yes.
Rocket League.
I think that's going to be That's going to become my new favorite game on top of Rocket League. It's going to be like Rocket League Hockey, Rocket League, and then 3 other things that I'm playing at the moment.
I like the idea of it having like traction problems. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And maybe it makes me too Canadian, but the first thing I was thinking about when I saw it is like, well, a puck has like different physics than a ball. How are you going to be able to get like lift on that? But I'm assuming that they're going to work it out.
I don't know if there will be. Well, I don't know. Okay, so there's a screenshot with the puck flying around in the air. So
yeah,
clearly
if there's no lift, that would be disappointing because it'd be like just Rocket League, like air hockey. But
right.
That would be terrible.
When you make custom matches, you'll be able to tweak specific things about the physics and traction and stuff. It sounds so fun.
I think definitely the biggest news coming out of it is that... Sorry, what?
Oh, and custom playlists, of course. You can join a bunch of people that are just playing the same groupings of weird, strange mutator games, which sounds great to me, too.
Yeah. No, just I think this is what it needed. For sure, is it's becoming
that, like, proper tournament support.
Yeah,
and a red antenna.
Yeah,
like that. I feel like that may be what it needs to sustain itself a little bit.
What if you could pay $15 and then they would give you 3 cars and you could draft? And play.
I knew it. The minute you said $15, it's like it comes the draft reference.
I didn't catch it, man. You guys have got all this. There's this new depth to MTG joke meta that I don't think I'm ever going to pick up on anymore. But that is actually a good segue, too, into the fact that they, Psyonix, the developer of Rocket League, have discussed the possibility of holding an arena event in 2016. And they're not just talking about it, like they're kind of serious about it. They think it will probably happen. They're going to hold an event in an arena, and... Initially, when I thought about that, I thought about they're going to have real cars.
Oh,
they're going to really do it.
Like, True Rocket League.
Yeah,
they already did it in Germany. We've been linked the video 100 times.
It's the most boring thing in the world.
It's really boring,
It kind of is.
Like cars backing up, popping a ball and backing up.
The dude hit the other guy, and then this dude came out of the crowd and he's like, "What are you doing?"
Like, don't get violent.
We want this to be peaceful.
Yeah.
That really is like the ultimate expectation versus reality sort of thing. Rocket League in-game versus Rocket League IRL. It's incredibly disappointing.
I'll be excited to see if what the arena thing is going to be like. A lot of it's going to depend on how big the prize pool is. And I feel like their opportunity to jump on it while it was hot has kind of passed. Not that the game's doing bad by any stretch, but there was an opportunity for them to really be like, all right, let's do this. Let's esports this shit up. Let's make it big. I mean, watching other companies, Blizzard comes to mind with Hearthstone. I mean, Hearthstone was not made to be an esports thing, but the minute a minor competitive aspect like esports scene cropped up around Hearthstone, Blizzard was like, let's do a tournament. And they were just like, they jumped on it.
To be fair, though, Blizzard is the kind of company that has $6 billion to throw around.
I'm not saying they didn't need to make a huge tournament, but something more than like $100.
Yeah.
Maybe like a few thousand. Just get like a $5,000 tournament. Top prize takes like 2,000. The rest gets separated for lower. Anything to just like ignite a spark. But because they just kind of like, yeah, let's let the weekly 100 or 75 euro or pounds or whatever it was tournaments go. It's like that's not enough to foster it. At least the competitive scene. So the competitive scene right now has people that are not really practicing, and no one's really like try-harding on Rocket League right now. So I'd be curious to see how big this arena is going to end up being.
Yeah. I kind of shared... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the problem that, as Bear and I have talked about before, is that like a lot of esports people, let's ignore the people who win the international and make like $1 million each.
Yeah.
But a lot of them make more from streaming than they make in prizes. That's like for sure. However, very few of them is it more meaningful to stream than to play in the tournament. And that's where the kind of the prize pool is for a lot of Rocket League stuff right now. Is Rocket League esports athletes, whatever you want to call them, competitors are like, why would I have like a 5% chance to win 75 euros when I could just make that in donations during the tournament instead?
Right.
Yeah. And, you know, Mathis, I kind of was, I shared that mindset not too long ago, actually. And then I've looked at it, you know, like, and there were a couple of posts about this as well in the Rocket League subreddit that were detailing, you know, how esports have kind of progressed for a lot of the bigger games that are sort of the staples of the environment right now. You can talk about Hearthstone, for example. Hearthstone didn't really, like blossom as an esport immediately. As you mentioned, it took a little bit of time. It took some motivating and, good people behind it to really get it going.
Blizzard was hosting Hearthstone tournaments during beta. Like,
True,
it was happening immediately.
But, like, as far as how it looks now, like, with all sorts of different companies getting on board and, like, huge events happening regularly, like, it's blossomed to its full status as a legitimate and probably perpetual esport for the next decade, So, Rocket League, it's got the appeal. It's got that universal appeal, but
definitely
there just sort of needs to exist in the community, I think, like, a better central hub for legitimate competitive and well-structured tournaments. And there's a couple of people that are trying to do that, but, it's not the same kind of audience. While it does have universal appeal, it's going to be kind of difficult to make Rocket League into something as easy to tune into and check out as something like Hearthstone.
Oh, and I'm not saying that it needs to be as big or whatever as Hearthstone, but another game that comes to mind is like World of War Tanks has yearly like esports. I mean, I remember watching one.
Is
one
it
of
World
bigger
of Tanks?
World of Tanks.
Yeah, World of Tanks.
Yeah,
not World of
you
War
wanted to say
Tanks. World of
Warcraft
Warcraft. World of Tanks,
Slides
whatever.
in there, yeah.
They hold their like yearly $25,000 like esports competition, and that hosts like a few thousand people on Twitch. And I feel like Rocket League could easily do something like that.
And they're, like they had their big spike in the beginning too, as you mentioned, but they couldn't really have capitalized on that as well as I think they want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they want to take their time and just make sure that what they're going to do well. So I think I admire them for that approach.
Well, let's hope the arena thing they want to do is going to be exactly that. I'd be excited to see what their prize pool and the details are going to be when they come out.
Definitely.
I don't think Rocket League is like dead as an esport.
No.
I think we wanted to see like a little bit more commitment, especially financially earlier, to kind of foster the scene. But if they throw a big event and it does well, I think it could be it could help rejuvenate it a little bit. I mean, they're doing stuff like the modifiers, that'll get people back into the game as well. So it could be good timing to try to capitalize on that if they're able to do an event before the end of the year.
And they're more than likely going to be prioritizing casual players above the tournament scene.
Yeah, I mean, that is where their money comes from right now, for sure. It kind of amazes me, though, because I'm like, you're going to plan like an arena event before the end of 2015? You got to like rent an arena, logistics setup. Oh, 2016.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Sorry,
Never
no,
mind.
I said 2016, I thought. But
you might have said, I was getting coffee at some point, so I was like, wouldn't it just be easier to just throw like $1,000 in the prize pool?
No, this is probably way in the future.
We could all be dead by then, so
that's true.
whatever.
Yeah, the heat death of the universe is inevitable.
I don't know why they're planning for something that's almost 16 months in advance. It's just foolish.
Yeah, I only planned this Roundtable Live thing like a week ago, so hopefully this all works out okay.
Even that's a little overkill.
It kind of is, yeah. So that's new Rocket League content coming in. Oh, it's November, by the way. I should probably let you guys know. They have the updated stuff is being slated for November, and then the arena stuff they're saying is hopefully happening sometime in 2016.
Also,
There's
it is
a rollout, right?
November.
Yeah, no, it is that month, but I thought they were rolling out mutators across all of November and into December. That's what I remember hearing from the podcast or the stream when they did.
Oh, you did the stream? Okay, yes, that's probably true.
They're starting with the cube, and then the ice hockey's in December.
I wish they'd start with the hockey.
I wish they would do.
The cube I'm not nearly as excited about, but I'm sure it'll be kind of weird.
Yeah, there's going to be weird bounces. And
yeah.
I mean, the ball can just like literally stay still, right? That'll be wild.
You would think. It must be like kind of a beach ball design cube. Otherwise,
I don't think it's like than you'd expect.
Yeah, I don't think it's like a Portal Companion cube where it's going to be, like clunking around the floor.
Yeah,
clumsily.
like a foam ball or something.
Yeah, something like that. Epic Games has announced Paragon.
Cool.
That happened an hour ago.
We did it.
We did it.
We're relevant.
Oh, we're timely. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. There's basically nothing about it. You can go to epicgames.com and there's a Paragon button there and they'll walk you through. It's like a character class shooter, so I'm not honestly excited about it. I just wanted to say it because we
There's a
can.
trailer.
Oh
Like,
man,
looks
this
at a
is
man.
gonna be the new. This is gonna be the new MOBA, right? Is first-person shooters with RPG and MOBA elements.
Yeah,
New
I mean, you're
that
not.
seems like where it's going.
You're not
We
wrong.
thought the MOBAs were gonna die, but instead they just mutated into first-person shooters.
We got Overwatch, Battleborn, and now Paragon.
Man.
And what's kind of funny is Cliffy B made his own company after leaving Epic Games and is developing
Yeah, that's right.
Due Process, which for Nexon, which is like another class-based kind of first-person shooter.
So this is certainly going to be the flavor of the year, then it seems, huh?
Mm-hmm.
We got
The site
Twin Blast.
teases. The site teases. You can discover a new hero each week and
What?
unlock unique in-game items. Consider me teased. What kind of unique in-game items do you have on offer here?
You do have to sign up to be notified when you'll be able to learn more about your character class, which I think is a pretty convoluted system for promotion, if you ask me. But you know, I'm not the one
I'm
in
just gonna
charge.
skip this whole genre of games. I'll catch you on the,
The
next
whole
round.
boat, huh? Yeah, just don't even bother. That's a big list, man. You're avoiding a lot of stuff.
No, but Fallout's coming out. I'll be fine. I have Afterbirth.
No, Fallout's actually a MOBA. Believe it or
Oh,
not.
really?
Didn't you know?
Oh, that's a MOBA now.
I
Yeah.
missed
Yeah.
that part of the presentation. Damn.
Also, Afterbirth got canceled, so
Yeah.
What?
you gotta
It's dead.
change your plans up a little
Took
bit.
it back.
They did. They took it back. They
Oh,
removed
no!
it from your Steam. This is what you get for finding the lost with data mining, you fucking losers.
Damn it.
Data miners.
God, Tyrone.
Yeah, that's Paragon. If you're like Nick, just avoid it at all costs. Moving on. Kingdom. Kingdom is a 2D side-scrolling strategy and resource management hybrid. Very minimalist. Came out on Steam on October 21st. Most of us have had a chance to play it, if not played it quite a bit. And I'm gonna spoil something first of all for folks that may be watching my Kingdom series. So keep that in mind if you're one of those few people. I managed to beat it. I actually did manage to beat it, and it was hard as fuck. I was not prepared for like how difficult this was going to be. Maybe it's just my perspective, but I think the game is a very good example of easy to pick up but ridiculously hard to master because it took me a while to do. So Kingdom in a nutshell. Somebody else who's played it, give me a rundown.
It's like a minimalistic economy management, like kingdom simulation thing. 2D, kind of really pretty. And there's like it's 2D plane on each side of your kingdom. There's like a hell portal that spews minions at night. Every few nights is a blood moon that spews really hard and multiple minions, and your goal is to destroy those gates.
It spews really hard. It really does.
Spews, it gushes. It
minions
gushes.
all over the place.
Minions. Banana minions.
Do
So
continue.
yeah, I mean, you build your kingdom up. You train troops. You have things that make you money, like farmers and hunters, and your goal is to take out the gates before the gates fucking take you out. It's hard, and every night gets more and more difficult.
I like the way that the game is brought in. It's extremely... it does not hold your hand, basically, at all. It gives you a couple of tooltips, but it otherwise just kind of throws you in, and then there's almost nothing describing what's going on. So you'll start off, you'll walk by the title text, and then you'll pick up coins, start to use those coins to fund certain things, and then pretty much from there on, you're just figuring it out. Just figuring it out yourself. Like, you have to figure out, if I fund this, what will that do? What will this upgrade net for me? What do these units actually do? What are these tools for? Like, you can go out and wander around and find different people, and there's like a merchant, and there's deer
example.
around. Sorry, go ahead.
I haven't played it, but I did hear people talk about this, and apparently there's catapults that you can invest in early on and then find out that they will shoot over everything,
Yeah. It's
which is
true.
a problem when
Yeah,
you need to defend your kingdom.
Well, the thing is, too, it's like, so the actual process of defending your territory is not very straightforward either. So you'll be able to fund archers and a single catapult on each side, as far as I can tell. There's a couple other units, too, but I won't talk about everything. And then when you get an archer, so if you have one archer in, like, an outpost, he won't just be shooting down enemies as they come. He'll be firing his arrows, trying to hit something.
Trying is the right word.
Yeah, just like sort of coming in the general area of things and hoping that eventually one of them works out.
Oh, there goes an arrow. Yeah, we'll try again.
I like that.
And every
I like
once
that
in a while,
face
they'll be
form.
like, dead shot. All right. I'm like, oh, these guys are awful.
So the idea just sort of becomes, like build up as many of these incompetent archers as you can, and then eventually you'll just have a volley of arrows that's ideally just, hitting everything because there's so many of them that it's almost impossible not to. And you don't figure that out, obviously, right away. You get a couple archers, and then you think, oh, probably pretty safe, and then they're shooting over a wall, and the enemies are, like, breaking down your defenses rapidly, and meanwhile, these archers are being like, bloop, bloop, what? You want us to hit them? Oh, that's different. No, that's a different archer, not us. We're the bad ones. We're the ones that suck.
The urgency's not there.
No, it's not. So
Stormtroopers.
they are stormtrooper archers. So it's minimalist, but I found myself really liking it. Also, it's gorgeous. This is very good pixel art. It's extremely good.
It's beautiful, yeah.
The overall, though, I think it's very easy to get into because I found myself like when I first picked it up and played it, I was just playing, and then before I knew it, 45 minutes had gone by, and I was like, oh, this is actually like very engaging, and all of a sudden, like I gave it maybe a lot more credit than I should have at first, because when I see something like that and I see that there's, a lot of mystery and not very much straightforward description to it, I think to myself immediately, oh, there's got to be like a ton of depth to this. There's probably like, hundreds of hours worth of gameplay and all kinds of different items you can unlock and serious, like, huge upgrades and improvements. I was thinking in pretty grand terms, like a huge scheme of things, but it's not that. It's a good size, it's got a lot of content to it, but it's not huge. Which it shouldn't be, because it's $10, so that makes sense. But overall, I was very pleased. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I had fun with it as well. It's one of those things that once you beat it once, I feel like you're done. You're not gonna go back and do it again. Yeah. There's not that kind of replayability there. But getting to that first success, getting to the time where you beat it, is fucking hard, difficult, and there's a lot of learning involved. But when you do it, it feels great, and you kind of put the game down and go, it was worth my money. And I think it is. I think. If you're into the strategy kind of economy management in a more minimalistic way, you're gonna like Kingdom a lot.
There's no incremental element to it, right? It's not like 10 million or something where between rounds you unlock something that makes it easier next time.
Right. No,
it's just experiential.
No. Yeah. That's probably more accurate. It's like it gets progressively more difficult, of course, just because that's how games work, pretty much. But it's not really like 10 million in that regard.
Right.
Ryan, did you play Kingdom?
I've played a little Kingdom, but I have recused myself from coverage. Because my publicist also does PR for the game.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
But I played it at PAX Prime for like 30 minutes, and I was feeling it. I was talking to the developer, and I was like, you know what? This is like a minimalist, kind of like RTS mapped to a not isometric viewpoint. It's kind of like rimmed capsule or something like that. He's like, yeah, man. Yeah. That's like a big inspiration. I was like, I get you.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, actually. Rim capsule is a pretty good comparison. I like that. It's good. All right, Kingdom. $9.99 on Steam. It's available right now. If you're interested, go check it out. Another game that is very cheap. It's only $3 on Steam right now. Came out on October 15th. It's called Downwell. It's apparently drawn a lot of inspiration from Spelunky. In fact, the game itself used to be a lot different. In its earlier form, it looked completely different from this. It didn't even have gun boots. It was sort of just like a vertical Spelunky, almost. So initially, you were just kind of like exploring down a well and dropping further and further and further and having level progression just like Spelunky did. But now, it's become something completely different, and in my opinion, for the better, like, far and away. So Downwell is a game about using your gun boots to descend through a well. There's many different sorts of enemies, as well as upgrades, pickups, items, things you can get. And it's got a level progression system, just as I mentioned. But overall, that's basically it. Use your gun boots, descend through the well. Very addictive.
Combos.
Yeah, combos.
That's the big thing. The game feel is outstanding in Downwell. And the general goal is you need to figure out a way to leverage your gun boots to use them to both destroy things and also hover to try and get you from one enemy to the next without breaking your combo down.
Right.
And that's really where I think the most addictive element of the game lies, because it feels fantastic to move around in it. It's very fast-paced, so you have to be able to handle that, but you'll gradually kind of pick up what the pacing is after a few games, and by then you'll just be sort of into a flow state of just playing over and over and over.
It's good. I like it a lot. I had fun with it. It's pretty, like you said, it's pretty basic.
Yeah.
You kind of described it perfectly, and it's fun. I think Nick's right. It has really good game feel. Everything about it just feels really good. There's a lot of the impact of the gun boots is just right. I don't know. I like it a lot. I can't really say much outside of that though.
I will say I'm not a huge fan of the display of it. I think the color tone, like even though you can change the palette, like the color palette, you actually have the option of changing that up a little bit to maybe choose some softer colors, but the default color choice is kind of, I don't know, just a little harsh on the eyes, I guess is how I would say it. You do?
Yeah, I think it's intentionally harsh. It's sort of taking the Mirror's Edge approach. They want to make you able to very quickly identify something important by their use of red. And the fact that they've included palette swap options is great, and I think it's a nice way to break up the moment-to-moment between rounds.
Yeah.
But I think, honestly, the strongest is the original color palette. All the other ones sort of mess with it once you understand in your head how this is all going to work, and then you can kind of change with it.
Yeah, and that might be what I had a bit of a difficulty with, too. I sort of found myself not really being able to discern myself from the background a lot of the time. Did you guys have that issue?
Not really.
No.
No? Must just be, I must suck, I guess.
Yeah, sorry.
That's what that boils down to. Okay, how far have you guys gotten out of curiosity?
Down to Catacombs, so what, like second level or whatever it is?
Been the Aquifer a couple times.
Nice.
Oh, I made it the furthest.
Yeah, you
I got
definitely
to
made
Limbo.
it the furthest, man. Nobody's gotten to the boss, unfortunately. There's a boss, by the way, spoilers, but there is a boss in there, too.
And there's hard mode and like unlocks and stuff that happen.
There's a
too.
good amount of stuff to unlock in the game.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, like for a $3 game, you wouldn't think it'd have that many unlocks, but
Yep.
sure enough, it's got a lot
Not
of variety
only-
to it.
Not only color palettes, and there's like a ton of those, but also actual changes to the style of how the game plays.
Yeah.
There's one, for example, that makes you floatier, so you can combo easier, but at another expense. There's one that makes you heavier, but gives you more health and takes away your sort of nuclear throne-esque upgrade that you get between levels. Well, it takes one of the three away, and you still get two. So there's a lot of like meta manipulation of how you're going to progress and how you're going to lay out your run that doesn't seem immediately apparent, but once you spend some time with it, you'll start to get used to what the options are and how you can take yourself to maximize your options for later.
Yeah, definitely.
Instead of calling it inverted doodle jump, I've come to think of Downwell as like ridiculous fishing, but instead of trying to miss everything, you try to hit everything.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works. Yeah,
I like it.
It's a good
Use a controller
explanation.
instead of tilt your phone around.
Yeah.
I like inverse doodle jump a little bit, too, but there's a lot less murder involved in that comparison.
Yeah. You guys ever play that Doodle Jump arcade game? You like go to an arcade and you like pay $1 to play Doodle
No.
Jump here.
Oh
I
my
have
God.
seen it.
No.
I will never do that.
When we were at Canada's Wonderland this summer, they also had like a Flappy Bird arcade machine now.
Oh, my God.
You pay $1 to play Flappy Bird, and you're like, this is like $1.
These are the
buy.
arcade cabinet industries desperately trying to stay
Yeah.
modern, man. Like hooking onto the mobile scene.
Oh.
And
Did they have Silent Hill Pachinko? I've heard it's fantastic.
Silent Hill Pachinko
Pull the lever.
in the Toronto amusement park.
Wow, they're a loss, honestly.
That's gonna be huge, man.
Oh, I know.
Downwell is $3 on Steam. It's
Just
worth a
buy
buy. I think it's worth a buy, absolutely. Yeah.
Why not? Yeah,
I
it's
wholeheartedly
$3.
recommend it.
It's less than one Magic the Gathering booster pack.
That's true. And if you don't like
Unless
it, you can just go
live
buy a
where
magic
Max
pack.
lives.
That's true.
How much are your magic cards? I think we talked about this, didn't we? It was like $8 a pack or something.
Well, in
Mathis?
Canada, they're like $5 now.
Yeah.
But Mathis lived near a place that sold them for $2.
Yeah, it was a
Ooh, nice.
promotion. I bought 80.
Oh man!
Wait, you bought 80 packs?
My dad bought 80 packs.
Okay,
that,
but
is that does not help you recoup any amount.
I didn't ask for it. He's like, I'll buy it. Let's get you some
my
packs.
God,
I'm
80.
like, "All right."
I didn't know it was that many. Holy crap, dude.
We bought the store out.
Oh my God.
Oh,
Like
you're
literally you did that? Dude.
That was like a month ago.
I know, but I remember we talked about it. I didn't realize you bought the store out of packs.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Some 12-year-old kid was like, finally, I could use my allowance to buy 4-packs instead of my usual 2.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Sorry.
like, we went in there. I was gonna buy like just a couple of packs, whatever, because they were $2. And then my dad's like, "Why don't we just buy like a ton?" And the guy's like, "Well, you can only buy 20 per customer." He's like, "Here." My dad was like, "I'll buy 20. and then you'll buy 20. And then your sister will buy 20.
Oh.
And I was like,
come on.
And
You
then,
brought the whole family to fucking
and then they all
sell
went in
out
one bag, and then I took them home.
just this nice corner store, and you're getting rid of all of his other
It
customers.
was not a corner store. It was Newberry Comics.
You are Walmarting Newberry Comics. You are forcing them to be your sole supplier. You
That's
are
true.
ridiculous.
Nah, this is Walmarting
And
everybody.
he waited for the promotion to end, and then he just started selling them on the street for $4.
Just in front of their shop, too, like right by the door.
And you had a banner on your head that said Mathis Games on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe.
Buy my shirt. And my magic cards.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
All right. Let's talk about Afterbirth, shall we? Not the gross stuff. The you know, like the game. The Binding of
gross
Isaac
stuff.
Afterbirth. Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Game. I play in a little bit.
Yeah, it's okay. It's $11 right now
about
on
a-
Steam.
Baby, right? There's like a baby involved.
So there's this whole backstory, but you know, I think it's
We did the same bullshit with Rebirth. We're
Yeah,
like,
why do we always do that?
Yeah.
Pretend like we
I
haven't
think
heard
it's
about it.
stupid.
we have to downplay it, don't we? Because everyone's too hype already. We have to kill the hype a little bit.
It's 109. It's 10.
It is, yeah. I was gonna say all of the hype right now is surrounding 109. That's we're having to, you know, mitigate that a bit, just because that's literally happening right now too, which is another fun thing about the live format, is that people are trying to solve this ARG on Reddit right now. Apparently, there's this big deal about 109. So if you don't know anything about it, here's the snippets that are the most
really-
noteworthy.
Introduce the pack first?
No, we want to talk about this. Everybody already knows about
It
Afterbirth.
expands, yeah. Quick rundown. If you have Rebirth, it expands Rebirth. That's like over 100 new items to the game, a new character, new levels, new bosses.
We'll talk about it more. We will, I promise. But we want to talk about this right now because it's kind of crazy. So, with the 109 stuff, there was a kind of a negative backlash from Edmund. Not like a backlash, but he was upset about it. He didn't like that people found out all the secrets about Rebirth so fast. I think it was something like 109 hours after Rebirth had been
That's a
released?
theory. I don't know if that's true.
Okay, but supposedly 109 hours after Rebirth had been released, every single bit of content had been discovered. So like even the Lost, all the stuff that they thought it would take us a long, long time to figure out, it was all done. Like the entire game had been data mined to completion. And now they're going along with this 109 thing in several different ways. For example, Tyrone did a stream recently which crashed after exactly 109 minutes at 10:09.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Yeah, seriously.
It's pretty lucky if those things lined up by coincidence.
There's a couple of other 109 things, and the fact that also you can donate up to 109 in the greed machine for the Ultra Greed fight, and then that is where it stops, I guess. So
Well, it's where it stops depending on who you are and how much you want to dig into it, which is why the ARG is fun.
yeah.
'Cause now we're
so-
digging into Bible verses and Northern Lions 109th Let's Play episode.
True.
Maybe, look, I wouldn't necessarily say that this is not new content that can be unlocked, but how funny would it be if they just, like, half-baked this ARG to fuck with people who
Yeah.
got the lost
I
secret?
would not
Yeah.
be surprised by that.
No,
And then
I
actually,
would-
like, in 2 days, Edmund's just like, nah, we're just going to make the greed machine increment by 109 cents per week so that you guys don't just
Yeah.
tap out.
oh yeah, that might
it's
happen.
It's very
Same.
fun.
I was on board with you when we were laughing at ourselves, but now I'm sad that it might actually
like-
just be something that simple.
Another problem with the Rebirth and why the secrets are found so fast is that there were achievements attached to the Lost. So people knew the secret character existed. They just wanted to know how to unlock him and get it. From our understanding, there are no achievements attached to this other new secret character that is supposedly exists. There's also 40 items that are not being listed on the wiki and people don't know about. And
Which is huge, by the way. 40 items that no
Yeah.
one has ever seen or has any idea exist.
It could all be
And-
co-op babies.
Yeah.
We all
That's
know, like,
true, yeah.
the way that originally the intended way of discovering the Lost was to hold on to the missing poster and die as a character, and a puzzle piece will be filled in,
Yeah.
and over time you discover the Lost. Well, now people have discovered if you have the missing poster as Lilith and die as Lilith, a new puzzle piece shows up that starts getting filled in.
Ooh.
So, yeah, exactly. So people are starting to put together these new puzzle pieces that are just being discovered while holding the missing poster, which will hopefully discover this brand new character that people don't know about because there are no, as far as we know, there are no achievements attached to it. So
Right.
people can't just be like, what is it? What is it? What is it? And people said they have gone through the code, and the code is deliberately written in a way where discovering these secrets are fucking like borderline impossible.
That's awesome. I'm glad they did that.
Yep. So we'll see. We'll see what it is. I'm excited. I mean, I've been trying things like, I was like, oh, the greed machine. Why would you donate to the greed machine? We already have a donation machine that says donate, so maybe we should bomb the greed machine and try and get the money out of it or something. And I was like, I'll do it as Judas because Judas was greedy and he sold out Jesus for money. And I just did all that stuff and I was like, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Fuck, man, you're in deep.
I was in deep last night.
Yeah, dude. I didn't realize you are like subject zero for these ARGs, aren't you, man?
So I tried that
Pretty
last
into it
night.
myself as well.
Nothing
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
But I like it because it's fun. It's
Yeah.
fun trying to figure it out.
No, I'm really happy to see that this is happening. This is the kind of stuff I loved. Well, for a while, I loved this stuff surrounding, you know, like the Half-Life universe. There was always those fun ARGs happening. And then Halo actually had a couple of these, too. Halo had the ilovebees.com fiasco that was crazy.
Bees.
Yeah, you remember that? Those were good times. Those was like 2005. Welcome to the swarm! There's a joke 8 people will understand.
That's okay.
So, yeah, anyway, let's talk about Afterbirth properly, though. But, you know, aside from the whole ARG stuff, that will hopefully be figured out for us so we get to see it all, because that'd be cool.
I want to figure it out for me. I want to figure it
You
out.
want to figure it out? I kind of just
Of course
want
I
people
do.
to just, you know, like,
There's IMR secret rooms. Those are new. And there's this thing
Yes.
called emergency contact. And you use it, and mom's hand comes down to help you. And I think somehow you can get picked up by it, and it'll take you to the blue womb.
oh, man. I
Well,
bet
it's
that's
not a
true.
problem.
Or
get
to the pyramid level.
That has to exist now, right?
No, so the blue womb is where you fight the new boss, but you can't do anything on it except for fight the boss and pick up items. So the belief that I think is kind of going around is that there is a whole floor that happens there. Not
Yeah,
just the
so-
boss fight.
There's some weird stuff that's happened to some people that where somebody ended up like had 9 lives, ended up dying on the boss fight, and then they walked back into the room. These black veins went all over the screen. The boss immediately died, and where the face of the boss ends up being, there's like a weird wound on it, and they
Picture
tried
viral.
bombing it, but they couldn't do it. But they didn't have a shovel, so they couldn't dig there, and they just had to they had to move on. So they're weird. There's something weird with that new boss. I just don't know. No one knows what it is.
And
Okay,
there's
so do we
also
have
some weird
to...
stuff with the Monstro fight in the green
Yeah, the
mode.
Monstro fight before Alter Grade too. Like,
It's
what's that
corrupted or
about?
something. There's like a weird block that can show up, I heard.
Okay, so hold on. Do we have to, like...
This is weird.
I think we
man.
might need to
I'm way into
rewind
this,
a
man.
little bit because we are already getting into like deep ARG territory with all this stuff. Let's talk about the new stuff in Afterbirth. Let's talk about our favorite new parts of Afterbirth right now. Ryan, I want you to start.
All right. Item combos actually work.
Yes,
That's
good.
pretty sweet. Kate and I had a run where we got the Bomberman item, which makes your bombs explode in like a big X pattern, and then Sad Bombs and Mom's Knife. So when we put down a bomb, it exploded into like 1,000 knives, and I was like, "This is the greatest thing of all time."
Yeah. very satisfying.
Synergy's actually working is a positive.
Yes.
Brimstone, rubber, cement.
Does that
Also
work?
true.
Oh my god, that's the
Yes.
best.
It bounces.
Brimstone Holy Light does not work. That makes me sad.
Yeah. Not every
Brimstone-
synergy still works, unfortunately.
Brimstone Mom's Knife I knew was kind of a thing, but now it seems to be like better. Is like more effective now. Have you guys gotten Brimstone Mom's Knife?
I
yet?
haven't gotten Brimstone at all.
at all. Wow.
At all.
That's crazy.
When it
That is
comes,
weird.
I'll get it like 10 times in a row, but it
Yeah.
hasn't happened. It hasn't happened yet.
Mom's Knife, Tiny Planet isn't better.
Oh, that's a
I
bummer.
did use that though.
This is
and I
still
won.
it's still just like one rotating knife.
Yeah,
Right,
I had
yeah.
it with Loki's horns, and so like once every 10 times I shot it, it was like 4 knives going in
Mm.
a circle, and that was awesome.
Looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little blender action.
No, I think I agree with that. Not only is it good that they actually work and do what they're supposed to, but it is a lot more visually satisfying too that you get to see these things happening. Mathis,
It's, yeah.
what do you like? What do you like? What do you got?
I really like greed mode.
Yeah,
I think that's my favorite aspect. I like the weapon item combos are great, and the new items so far are really cool. But I find myself really wanting to play greed mode a lot. It's a little faster, which is fun. There's a lot more strategy involved because you can pick and choose the items that you want, and you can re-roll when you don't like any of the items. So that gives you a little bit more autonomy over the items that you pick up. And I really like the ultra. My favorite 2 things so far are the 2 new boss fights because they're a lot more involved. They're a lot more intricate, and one of my favorite things about Rebirth was the lamb fight. The lamb fight, I think, was one of my favorite fights in the game. It's just a shame that the dark chest is trash. So you never really go fight the lamb. You go to the chest because the chest is just more fun. But the new fights are really cool. There's a lot more thought involved. The Ultra Greed fight with the coins that can come out that can give him health or blow up or unlock doors. There's a lot more reaction and a lot more thinking involved. So
spoiler warning, by the way. Sorry if you guys haven't seen any of this content yet. I think probably went without saying, but
half an hour's worth to get to that fight. Yeah,
exactly.
Probably most people see it.
So yeah, I think the two new boss fights so far are great. Well, all the new boss fights are great. Little Horn is some interesting
Little Horn
mechanics.
I love. I think Little Horn is probably my favorite new boss.
Yeah, like the new bosses have interesting mechanics, which I enjoy, and even the new bosses that have new forms that have new mechanics, like Megamaw that can do like weird wave bullet shit that caught me off guard, or Krampus who can spin his brimstone around, that caught me off guard a couple times. I just like there seems to be a little bit more thought involved with some of the boss fights, and the new greed mode is great.
Yeah, agreed.
My favorites.
I think greed mode is kind of just like a cut the fat version of Isaac that I didn't know I wanted. It really just sort of
try out items quickly without a lot of the meta.
Yeah, it sort of just boils Isaac down to what we really want out of it, without the actual playing Rebirth, I guess, part of things.
My only complaint about it is that, and it might just be kind of clumped randomness, but like I get the D100 every time, and or the D4 or missing though, and I'm always like, well, I could like not take it and maybe lose, or I could take it and just win. Like every time I've taken it, I've just stomped the game. So I don't know if it just spawns too much, or it's just maybe I've been getting it a lot. But I'm kind of like, it doesn't matter what items I pick up because the D4 is going to show up eventually, and then it's like 6 chop, and there it is. So,
do you really have that consistent of success with the D100?
Every single time I've used it on greed mode, I've won easily.
Wow.
It's actually happened to me as well twice.
Man, I guess I should pick it up more.
For the most part, you're aggregating transformations at the very least.
Oh,
so it's like
okay.
When you roll, you might get a transformation, and if you do, it sticks around. So really, like after like 6 rolls, you're gonna have like every transformation in the game.
Yeah,
then
I
all
didn't
you
even
need is
think
to have
about that.
not shitty damage.
Because transformations didn't stack in Vanilla Rebirth, right?
There were only 2 of them.
There were
that's
2 of
true,
them, and
too,
they
yeah.
stacked. They did stack.
They did stack, but it didn't really make a difference because Guppy was really the only one that made a difference, right?
Yeah, and Lord of the Flies was garbage. You could fly, and neutral flies became your friends.
Yeah.
Guys, what if my first greed mode run was actually how you're supposed to do the secret? You get super magnets, so the doors all conglomerate in the middle, and then you wait for the keys to open them, and then you go inside the door.
Oh.
Oh, I saw your run. You broke the doors. Like,
There's
that was
dudes
weird.
coming out. You can't get in there.
Give it a try, man.
That's the thing.
You
know
could.
what
I bet
my
you can
things?
get in those doors, man.
Give it.
I bet.
I would be surprised if you couldn't.
Yeah.
Well, another fun thing is like trying to figure out what some of the trinkets do too.
Yeah.
Like some of the trinkets, like one of the cool theories. I don't know if it's been figured out, but watch battery is a trinket, and it's like, what the hell does that do?
Yeah.
People are like, well, what if you have broken stopwatch with watch battery? Will that
That's
fix
interesting.
broken
Yeah.
stopwatch, and will that do something? I don't know.
That's
'cause I
a
haven't seen
very
it.
weirdly specific trinket, though, isn't it? It's
Right?
like
Stop,
if you
like,
have this item
watch
that
battery?
normally sucks, now it's better.
Yeah, that's just interesting. Some of the trinkets are terrible, but that's just par for the course. Which is
Soy
fun.
milk still sucks, by the way.
That's not surprising.
People were trying to
Largely
tell
true.
me soy milk is not that garbage anymore. Soy milk is still very much garbage tier.
I don't know, man. On that first daily, I liked it as Lilith.
It got better as an item. I think it's now more fun to play, but it's still, I think
Multiplying soy milk makes it better. I know
Exactly.
that much.
Mm-hmm.
I still will take soy milk almost every time.
Unless you have soy
Man.
milk Dunscap, Brian.
Yes, I have had soy milk wizard or the tumor transformation, and it's fucking horrible. It's the worst.
grab soy milk wizard and then just become like the worst bullet hell boss of all time, because that's the bullet hell boss that it starts to send out those impassable bullet walls that normally when they're surrounding you they would come to a close and eventually
Right.
start to hit you, but those just stay there. So you just keep the enemy centered, and you're just like, oh, you better not move anywhere, you're gonna get hit. Be careful.
One thing I don't like is that like multi-dimensional baby makes my head hurt when I have it, and then I get like a huge rate of fire or big tears, and the whole screen is just like flashing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the first times I've ever actually been legitimately like, if you have photosensitivity, don't watch this because this is gonna get nuts.
Yeah.
And it shows up all the time.
But you
It
know,
does.
like Sad Bombs and Death's Touch was always a thing. It would spin across the
Yeah,
whole
but this is like I feel like it's worse, admittedly.
It's got very distinct, like seizure-inducing flashing patterns, which
It
is
is
kind of a
actually
bad
like
thing.
white and then black,
Yeah.
rapidly oscillating between them.
Yeah, that is true.
Oh, we got some new news here, guys.
Oh, what's that?
Wargaming, you may know them as World of War Tanks
Yeah.
creators.
All right.
All right, meme that.
They have they've invested $4 million into Hitbox.
Hitbox.
Everybody go to
I'm moving over.
Whoa. Okay.
Wait, what?
Hitbox.
That's a surprising revelation.
Are there big? There's got to be like 1 or 2 big streamers on Hitbox, right? They're like the Hitbox celebrities. Well, they're gonna go to Hitbox Con.
I think Hitbox just sort of exists as a joke. Not like, okay, so that's obviously, summarizing it.
Is there
a
an
little bit too
expo for
much.
the Transformers, and would they call it Decepticon?
That's pretty good.
That'd be great.
It was pretty good. We got kind of derailed here.
Oh yeah, I want to talk about things I like.
Like Afterbirth.
Like Afterbirth?
Yeah, like Afterbirth things.
Yeah.
So
Afterbirth.
I've noticed a few details that
Yes.
I think that you guys like as well, but didn't think about right now.
Let me get my conspiracy notebook. I'm ready.
No, not about that.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
so when you're in the game, you can hit pause now, and it shows you the notepad, so you don't have to back out of your run and go look to see what you haven't completed with that character yet. That's a huge,
that is huge.
useful, positive improvement that I
Yeah.
have to give thumbs up for. There's a few things like that. There's also slightly snappier animations. I feel like everything feels
Yeah, definitely.
a little bit pulled in. If that makes sense. I think the bombs even explode slightly.
It's tough to explain, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, the animations definitely feel
It's all
just a lot better.
snap harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when things pop out of the chest.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love the new music. I think it's a huge
love
benefit to have more floor variations with more music tracks just because you hear the same one so many times.
Yep.
Getting to like the catacombs and hearing that same like Hotline Miami sounding vibe is just drains me now.
Makes the basement a lot less boring, which I didn't even know I wanted, so that's
Yeah.
awesome.
But the
Well,
burning
anytime
basement is fucking annoying.
Well, that
Is-
would be a negative.
The cellar was annoying though. Like I hate.
Yeah.
No,
I
but
saw
like the cellar is annoying because it's hard. But the burning basement, I'm just like, I actually can't see.
Oh,
No, the
the
visibility
darkness
stuff-
burning basement is fucking stupid.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just covered in smoke, and you're like every
Yeah.
enemy is invisible.
Yeah. No, I agree with you there.
It's a little much.
Sorry, Nick, go ahead.
That's okay. Another thing that I know you guys want to talk about, but you haven't yet, is the fact that there's daily runs now. I'm sure people
Yeah.
care about that quite a bit. And the
Absolutely.
scoring system is actually pretty well balanced.
Yeah.
I think we were all surprised to see like they really, really thought that out well, and I don't think it requires that much tweaking.
I have some
No?
issues with the daily scoring,
Okay.
but it's based on my preference for how to play the game. And Mathis saw this yesterday when he beat the daily in like 14 minutes. I beat it in like 28 minutes, and he lost to me by like 4,000 points or something like that.
That blasted through it.
Yeah, so you actually, it doesn't incentivize time as much as I hope that it would.
Yeah.
Every second that you take is 1 second off of your run, but every penny that you pick up is like 10 points that you gain. So there's a point where I was like, well, I could do the run really quickly because I'm a Zazel with really high damage, but instead I'm going to use an Algiz rune on the blood bank, and it took like another 45 seconds, but I got like 80 cents out of it. Literally, that is like 12 minutes of playtime
Right.
justified there. I also think it's really weird that I know that their time is a separate criteria, but it defaults to score. So it's like
Yeah. No. Exactly.
score is the real deal here. I also feel like I don't know why items cost you points. Like,
Yeah, that is. I've been thinking about that too. It is really interesting. Like, I think it's, there's probably an argument to be made about, like you should get more value out of kind of going on a pure run. It's like if you're able to beat it without the aid of all these new items that you're getting, then maybe that's
It's
more
the
impressive,
speedrunner
but-
bonus. You didn't bother
But
going to an item room.
there is no speedrunner bonus though, because what the score rewards right now is basically just if you can get like IV bag bloody penny, then
Yeah.
you could literally just get
Oh.
infinite points. Like
Yeah.
as long as you have the patience for it.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I think was the run that really kind of solidified for me. Like, all right, I need to slow down because I blasted through the game super fast. I took very, very little damage, I even prioritized because it ended on Mom's heart, so I prioritized picking up the Bible when it showed up, so I could instant kill Mom and the heart and just be done with the run. And I was like, that's gonna be great. I'm not gonna take any damage from them. I'm just gonna instantly kill them. And I'm gonna beat the run in like Ryan said, like 14 minutes or whatever. And I crushed everybody as far as time is concerned. But I was still surprised when I saw the scoreboard. I'm like, oh, I still placed like 4,000th or whatever in the score, or whatever it was. But I wish that. Yeah, I think I'm with Ryan. I wish that they prioritize time just a little bit more so than they do, because it feels like, fuck time, man. Just pick up money. Yeah. Just pick up all the money. If I knew about the money thing, I should have just Book of Shadow. Like when Book of Shadow showed up, I should have Book of Shadowed the blood bank, and then I should have Algizrune the other blood bank that showed up on the floor after, because it's just so many points. Yeah. Just for picking up money.
My optimization for it right now, what I'm thinking going into the next daily, is only pick up items that are meaningful. So even if you get like concussive tears, I'm not going to pick it up because I'm like, oh, 0.3 damage, that's not worth like the score penalty.
Yeah.
Brimstone, yeah, sure. Mom's knife, the ability to fly, guppy items, etc., etc. Only go exactly as fast as you need to go to get to boss rush. The rest of your time should be spent farming up consumables, because that's how you get the maximum amount of points. But then you got to do boss rush to get that extra like 4 or 5k.
Yeah. Even exploring rooms to a certain degree is worth it for the most part.
If you have enough damage that it takes you like 5 seconds to beat a room, you only need 1 penny to give you a positive score for going to that room.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, like I really dislike the fact that you're rewarded, like using the Algizrune on the blood bank. You're rewarded because you get all the pennies for it. But then if you play it enough to get the item and you pick it up, it erases the bonus that you got there. Is like, well, we want you to really do your due diligence, but not that far. Like, I kind of feel like if you're able to scum an item out of it, that should be like the ultimate reward.
Does the dollar give you points, I wonder?
I don't know, but I will say that people said Skeleton Key and Pyro do. Okay. So that might incentivize that.
Because you get penalized for picking up items, and you want money so you can buy an item out of the shop, but it's almost like pennies are purely there for points at this point. There is no other purpose for pennies outside of inflating your score.
Yeah.
They're just points on the ground. That's all they are. And I don't know
Looking
if I
like a fool with your points on the ground.
I don't know if I like that, though.
I feel like I could have gotten like another like 6,000 points out of yesterday's daily. So what it would have been is just like, don't pick up shit like Abel, or like even, I don't know, probably I'd take like Cube of Meat, but don't pick up like Pageant Boy or stuff like that, because it's just like Pageant Boy is like, it gives you score, but then it takes away more.
Yeah.
Then actually do boss rush, prioritize being able to get that 4,000 points, and that's it basically. And then if you don't take 5 shitty items and you do boss rush, that's another 6,000 points.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize how out of touch I was when I said that. I thought you guys were pretty happy with it.
I really like the dailies, and I do think that for the most part, it reflects the competition well. But it also ends up right now being like, if you play it the same way you play a regular Afterbirth run, everybody that gets to the same floor is going to be within like 2,000 points, so within like 10% of the score of one another. So I think the optimization for that, I think, is just like a little weird.
I think it's easy to argue, too, that this very well may be the sort of thing that you don't think about until there's thousands of people all playing the daily every day. So, it's like, it's good to be able to balance stuff out after the fact, too. But I am impressed overall with the general formula that they use for it. Like, I really was wondering how it was going to work when they were talking about having daily challenge, but I'm really impressed with it overall.
Yeah, I agree.
I have other details if you want to keep moving on.
Yeah, definitely.
So there's now an item tracker built into it, which is great. It might not be ideal. I mean, it's a little big in my preference, but maybe there's a way I could tweak that or something. But anyway, it's really nice that they actually cared enough to put that in, because they didn't have to bother with that, and it's cool to be able to see that for the sake of streamers and such.
Yeah, I'm sure they saw a lot of streamers were using like item tracking mods, so they figured they might as well build it in.
And honestly, I still like the old one I had better than the one they put in, but there is potential that maybe theirs will change or whatever. So I just think it's a nice gesture. Really, really good idea, too, and one that I wish they had even in Rebirth. But the fact that now when you start a challenge run, it shows you where your destination is, whether you're going to the heart, whether you're going to the mom's foot. Or
same thing with the daily challenge there, too. It tells you that
it's
way.
Borderline absolutely necessary to know that kind of thing in these cases, so to plan your strategy around what your path is going to be. So, yeah, good on you for putting that in. Trying to think if there's any other major ones. Just the fact that there's new challenges in general is refreshing. There's a couple that I kind of hate, but I think you're going to get into that every time. It feels really hard. Like, they really want to troll people so hard that they're doing it, like, at the expense of playability sometimes. Like the Guardian one in particular, it puts you in a position where you have Isaac's heart in control by a human popcorn, and he's walking around. He has his own agenda, and all you have is a sword, so you can smack stuff around and try and body block shots. And you got to make it, I think, to the end of the cathedral or the womb, one or the other.
Wow.
So that's a long, frustrating run.
Yeah. Well, the problem with
the gimmick of that is pretty awesome, though.
I like the gimmick of that. The problem with that particular challenge run is that there is damage. Like, there should always be an element within a challenge run that is under your control in some way. And in that challenge run, the mom fighting, for example, you can't stop mom's foot from stomping on punching bag holding your heart. Yeah, there's no way you can control that or stop that. So that kind of that can just fuck you. If you end up in that fight, you don't kill mom fast enough, you will just lose. And that element of just kind of taking it out of your hands is not fun.
Yeah,
I agree. And I had similar issues with Blue Bomber, which essentially has you with the blue detonator, which makes you explode, but you also have pyro, so you can't hurt yourself. And there are enemies that you just can't kill with detonations. So, what I had to do was I hooked up my other controller, and I had a co-op baby come and kill those enemies so I could leave the room. There's the failsafe, of course, if you wait for 3 minutes, the doors will open, but I just didn't feel like that was quite the right way to go about that. Yeah. Maybe there should be another easy, but, like, not heavy way to do damage for that character. That's just my idea. So yeah, there's a couple little tweaks, but overall, I think I enjoyed a lot of the other challenges. The one about Pride Day was really fun, where you have constantly changing tiers. You've got Rainbow Worm and $3 Bill and whatever the other thing is, and it's just constantly changing the whole run. It's innovations like that. I really just want more weird runs that are fun to play that you can repeat and try again if you didn't make it for whatever reason. But I like them on the whole.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think we all really, really like Afterbirth.
Yeah, it's a really, really good expansion. You could just come out with like an expansion that's like 50 new items, but it's clear that they are not just doing this cynically to make like more money. It actually makes the game substantially better.
Yeah,
which is cool. And again, I really like what Matt had said earlier. Like the 2 new boss fights have like a level of care and design that I don't think we've seen in Isaac before. Like even like remember like when Blue Baby and Isaac were added, they're like the same boss. They're basically just the palette swap version with like very slightly different attacks. Maybe it works for theme or flavor or whatever. But the Ultra Greed fight, I don't know how it fits into the lore of the game, but the sprites are really cool, and the art is really nice, and it's a completely new fight. Same with Hush. Hush is like a super new thing for Isaac. Is just like a really, really tanky boss that is very bullet hell like. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's fun just because those 2 particular boss fights, I don't think I've actually ever lost against Ultra Greed yet. If you just learn their patterns, even with little health, as long as you are on top of your game, you can still win. Yeah, it's not like unpredictable enough where you can lose.
Well, it should be mentioned, though, the 2 new bosses both have a different governing system that determines their health based on DPS, which I don't know how we all feel about that. You can
is
go
it true, though?
Well, I guess we don't know 100%, but that's what the first phase of both Ultra Greed, meaning the monster fight, and also the first phase of Hush are supposed to be for.
Yeah. I think I said that yesterday, and somebody tweeted that BizSnap disproved that on stream.
Oh, yeah?
Where he, like... Well, I know for a fact, me personally, I beat Monstro just by letting Daddy Longlegs kill him, and I had Mom's Knife with like a ton of damage ups, and Ultra Greed still took a fuck ton of damage. And I think BizSnap's yesterday on stream, the stream before, disproved that theory and was wrong.
How did he disprove it, I wonder?
I'm assuming he just pecked at it with like a Blue Baby or Brother Bobby familiar, which is something you can like cheese the shit out of it, and then if it didn't. Whatever, but I don't know. No one gave me details on Twitter.
Well, I was theorizing that you could possibly, just like if that were the case, then you could just bomb the first enemy, like bomb the monster to death, and then kind of cheese the Ultra Greed fight that way. Which I don't know. Like if you're trying to save time, then that wouldn't really make sense to do because it would still take just about as long. But it's
and that's another thing too. You don't have to fight Monstro to fight Ultra Greed. If you die on the Monstro fight, I think somebody said in chat like there's a way to bypass the Monstro fight by dying or something, and you can still fight Ultra Greed.
Yeah. Okay.
When I
odd.
actually after when I beat Ultra Greed, I used the shovel, went down another floor, didn't have to fight Monstro again, fought Ultra Greed, and he was still just as hard.
Oh, that lends credence to the ARG.
Yeah, it does.
What's up with that?
This is all I can think about now. It's like, oh, well,
goodness.
if that's not the explanation, then ARG!
I don't know.
Well, I hope that the DPS determining thing isn't actually true. I'd rather have it be that it's just a set amount. Just for the same reason, like, I didn't like in Oblivion how, like, wherever you went, if you'd level up, everything matches your level. It just defeats the point of leveling. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like that Ultra Greed and Hush are not easy to kill. I'm glad that, you know, like, with Blue Baby and with the Lamb, if you have a ridiculously overpowered run, you know that you're just going to be able to melt through them, no problem. But with Ultra Greed and Hush, it's no longer the case, so I'm
but
glad
I still
they
have
exist.
to complete Lost runs, so I kind of wish they melted a little easier sometimes, you know?
Yeah, that
I
didn't
really
about.
think the D4 makes Lost a lot easier. Like, basically, I think it halves the amount of time, bare minimum, that it takes you to get to a good Lost run. Because now, instead of like, don't wink at me. Yeah. What was that? Like now, instead of your formula being walk into an item room, it sucks, restart. You walk into an item room, if it sucks, you pick it up and re-roll it. So I think it gives you, it cuts down a lot on getting to like those good synergies, those good items you need as the Lost.
Yeah. True that. I can't believe they put us in the fucking Lost for the 3rd daily challenge, man. I wasn't ready for that yet. I wanted
That
at
was
least...
a super winnable run, and I still am salty that I fucked it up.
I assumed that I was gonna die just out of the gate. I assumed that it was not gonna go well.
I feel like the problem wasn't that you were the Lost so much, although obviously like being able to only get hit once is pretty fucked up. But the problem was that the 3rd floor boss, well, I mean, even like the 4 Larry Juniors is like a pretty tough variant.
Yeah, it is.
But then fighting the Frail and just being like, this is the first time I've ever seen this boss. So he like pokes his head up and I'm like, what's up, buddy? And then he's just like, like a brimstone laser just cuts you up. And you're like, okay, there's 1 life down. And then, you know, you fight him again and he pops up. So you move out of the way and then the brimstone laser tracks you. And you're like, okay, there's 2 lives down.
Learning as we go here.
Yeah.
No,
so I lost like 6
he's like a
lives on
really
that guy.
weak pin. This is weird. And then his skin falls off. You're like, oh, there's more.
Yeah.
All right, shit.
I really like that run because there was an angel room and I was doing shitty and I blew up the angel statue, re-rolled both items, and then like left and used Dad's key to come back in and then per-throwed them again and got like Sacred Heart, Guardian Angel, and the ability to fly. And I was like, I'm good! And then I just, I died later.
Question. Do angel statue keys re-roll with the D4?
I don't think so, no.
Okay,
They definitely don't with the D100.
Oh, they don't?
Okay.
No.
That's weird.
At
I'm
least
just
not in
thinking if
green
you're
mode.
trying to do a Mega Satan Lost run, like, to keep re-rolling the key pieces is going to be awful.
That is fair, but I do think that probably most of the D4 use is just going to be to try to set you up on the 1st or 2nd floor before you even see a deal with the angel. Because if you get to the 3rd floor and you have a deal with the angel and you suck, you're just going to be like, whatever, I'm done. Most people, at least.
That is it, I believe. Yeah, Afterbirth. It's out. It's $11.
We're all playing it.
Yeah, we're all playing it.
Yeah.
No, I echo the sentiment Ryan said, though, that I really appreciate that. Not only is it, you know, huge and expansive and just totally ridiculous as far as expansions go in general, but also, I mean, I think my favorite parts of Afterbirth are the stuff that I had no idea was coming. You know, just like changes like to the animation, for example. That alone made playing the game so much more enjoyable. That was a huge factor. So it's really good. I am extremely satisfied with it, and I think we all are.
Yeah.
And that brings us
Retrovision.
Yeah, no, yeah, get rid of Retrovision.
Make the smoke effect less visible on the burning basement.
Those are the only 2 big things that we want to get rid of. And now time for everybody's favorite live segment. It's Ask Roundtable.
Oh, boy.
Today's Ask Roundtable question comes from Ian. It's kind of a longer one. He says, this is a question for all of you. Do you think game devs...
I appreciate that, by the way.
You're welcome.
This is a question just for Ryan.
Do you think game devs focus too much on how streamable a game is? Streamable in a sense that a game can be streamed and captivates an audience longer than it would if it were not streamed. And if not, do you think game devs even consider the impact of services like Twitch, Azubu, and Hitbox towards sales of their game? And does it impact indie devs more than larger companies? Thank you, Ian. This is a great question, by the way. Thank you, Ian. Appreciate it. We'll start with Mathis. So, Mathis, do you think game devs focus too much on how streamable, or, you know, let's even go so far as to say for YouTubers, do you think the focus is too heavy?
I feel like that's like a weird way of putting it. Do they focus too much on it?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I'm sure
Depends on the dev, of course, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, of course there are going to be games that were made to be streamed and that just end up flopping in general. I mean, we see a bajillion types of, like, just as a YouTuber, instead of streaming in particular, how many cheap, terrible fucking horror games exist purely for, you know, then to be picked up by the big guys to scream and freak out at. That's gonna happen, and that's understandable. But I don't think devs in particular are focusing too much on it. In fact, I like that they're focusing on making something streamable, because what I consider streamable, and I think what a lot of devs consider streamable, is something that's really replayable and different for everybody who plays it. Survival games is one that I will always say is different for everybody who plays it. Isaac is an incredibly streamable and the playable game, and people can watch it, enjoy it, and then go play it themselves. So one of the points, actually, when I went to Ottawa to give a talk about YouTubing and stuff, one of the things I did talk about was making your game streamable and playable by YouTubers. And one of the best ways to do that is having a game that is different, a different experience for everybody, so that when somebody sees it being played, they'll want to go out, buy it, and then play it, and they'll have a different experience, so this experience wasn't ruined for them via a YouTube video or a stream. Yeah. I don't think devs are doing it too much, but sure, there are going to be examples where doing that ruins an idea or a game.
I think you have to look at it comparatively too. I mean, like, as I mentioned, it depends on what sort of game you're looking at, depends on the developer. So, for example, I mean, there's obviously going to be the outliers like Choice Chamber, where it's built almost entirely based around the idea of interaction with a Twitch community and with chat and things like that. Yep. But I don't think it's becoming, you know, a prevalent enough problem to where we have to start worrying about whether or not people are trying to appeal too much to streamers and YouTubers. It's certainly not happening in the AAA realm. I don't think. I'm pretty sure there's like not even really any examples of that as far as AAA goes. I think it's mostly an indie thing right now. I think indies are looking at streamers and YouTubers as a very good source of publicity and marketing that they should be working with. And I think that it certainly goes through their minds now. I think if you're an indie developer getting into the space at the moment, you are, if you're well aware of the trends, you are focused on whether or not you're going to be able to make your game streamable or allow people to make videos of it easily. And that actually can boil down to a couple of different things too, whether or not you are allowing people to, you know, capture in resolution settings that they prefer going into windowed mode, little things like that that can actually have a difference on the creator side of being able to, you know, create content well for it. But as far as the actual gameplay and the playability of the game itself, I don't think it's become an issue that is very widespread. What do you think, Nick?
Well, I would broaden the scope a little bit, and I think the framing of the question might be just a little bit off, but to address what you just said, in a way, it has become a guiding force for the industry now, in that we're talking about all of these MOBA games and things that are sort of specifically geared around the idea of bringing in an audience, whereas, you know, several years ago, it was a lot about the player's individual experience. We're now focusing on how to bring up a group of people, foster a community, and it's all about sometimes the community even at the expense of the player, which is, I think, sometimes where I diverge a little bit from where the industry finds like the best games are going. I'm more concerned about what I'm doing individually, but I do absolutely grant games like Isaac and Choice Chamber or Jackbox Party Pack, all of those things are they're right on for what they're trying to accomplish. And I think it's better served when they're just a small directed chunk of content versus you're trying to build up this whole world around something. Just keep it a little small. Let the content creator create their own community and foster an environment instead of it being more about what the vision of the company behind the experience is. Yeah. There's a very broad Buzzfill-laden experience that I just put on you, but I think that is sort of where I land on it. In terms of like YouTube or the AAA or indie space even, I meant to say indie space. I think the one thing that I did notice was happening for a while, these copycat games, things on Game Jolt, like when Five Nights at Freddy's was really popular, there was about 10 billion clones of that just because they wanted to be the one that Markiplier played.
Yeah.
And it's like that. I don't like that the whole industry can sometimes go into that little pocket realm of like, let's just all cater to one person. It just feels weird to me. But I don't think it's overwhelming anybody. I think it's just a fringe example. And I don't think it's even really a problem. It's just, it's weird to see it. That's all.
We shouldn't post it as though it's an issue, because I don't think it's something that inherently would become a problem. Even if it were to become more prevalent, I still don't think it would really be an issue.
I kind of separate it into two issues in my own perception, at least. One of them is that like there's two different kinds of games that can kind of fall into this category. There's games that are streamable because of what Mathis was talking about, which is that they're different every time, so there's like some engagement to actually watching it.
Yeah.
Stuff like Isaac, Nuclear Throne, Keep Talking, etc., etc. And then there's stuff that is actually basically just designed to be like played by YouTube Let's Players.
Yeah.
And most, that's, I think Wolfsky is actually getting what I'm saying here as well. You know, YouTube bait shouldn't be considered streamability, because there is stuff that is in that YouTube bait category. Whereas some stuff I think is just... I think the games are being designed by some people with more streamability in mind, but that doesn't necessarily make them YouTube bait. But the people who are making YouTube bait, if I may use that as a pejorative, basically, I don't think they would be making good stuff anyway.
Right. Like, no, I kind of am with you on that, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like it's mutually exclusive. Like, oh, if they weren't making, Five Nights at... Farm Boys or whatever, they'd be making, the next Bastion or something like that. That's probably not true, but, that's the way I feel about it. But I do know, like, from the limited amount that I've talked to developers, they'll be like, like, all this, particularly with roguelites, they'll be like, all this stuff with roguelites has really informed my design process for the next game. Yeah. Something that you can play through multiple times and is still engaging is kind of, I think a lot of people are thinking about that more than just like a linear experience now.
Yeah. Agreed.
I have one more point to add.
Definitely.
Northern Lion kind of coined this term, the III indie.
I didn't coin it, but sure.
I heard it from you anyway. But I think we would all refer as Soma would be one of those things, right? We'd all kind of consider that top tier indie.
I was even thinking like what was the recent horror game that was like, very lifelike people?
E.T.
No. Very recently. People have been playing it on Twitch.
Layers of Fear?
No. Fuck, what was it called? It was like kind of a Heavy Rain look to it.
Oh, Until Dawn.
Until Dawn, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, so that game in particular, I think, was a really interesting sort of bait and switch, because everyone expected it to be jump scare laden freaking YouTube bait, essentially.
Yeah.
You get a few hours into it and you're like, wait a minute, if that's the kind of person that I'm trying to be for this entertainment sake, like, I have to actually examine some esoteric fucking crazy philosophical stuff that is not going to come across well for my presentation. And all of a sudden these people have to reevaluate how they're going to present this game and still come out with an exit strategy. And I thought that was like the most interesting experiment to see how people react to it when they all of a sudden realize, I can't just feign this enthusiasm now. I've got to actually talk about some things that are kind of intelligent and deep.
Yeah,
I have to be a smart person.
Or you could just ignore it. Also, there's
right.
A possibility
well, that's an
there.
option. Yeah.
Well, that was a great question again, Ian. Thank you very much for that. And if you've got questions you'd like to ask us, don't feel like you have a bar that's been set now or anything. There's all kinds of questions I'd love to.
You'll never reach the pinnacle of that question.
Now Ian has completely destroyed it for everybody else. No, thank you very much for all your questions. Send them in to roundtableyt@gmail.com, and we hopefully will get a chance to answer them. And now time for everybody's favorite segment after the favorite segment. It is Nick's Weird Games. The first live one, which is going to be a fun thing.
Well, I mean, they're all live for me, so...
Yeah.
Like, this isn't really that much of a change.
Yes, that's true.
I'm actually going to pitch something on the fly here, Nick. What do you think about this? Should we let Twitch chat play as well?
You can let them play, just don't look at what they're saying.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, that's true. Look. So I won't look. But we'll not look, but you...
We need an approved moderator or something that can catch the first instance of a correct answer, which means I got to clue them in beforehand.
Yeah, but I figured maybe you could just like keep an eye out and see if anybody guesses it while you're giving the description as well. You can try, yeah. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, we might play that out a little bit more in the future, see if we can't make it an official thing. Get like the Twitch points. Twitch points.
You could earn Cristal points and then turn them into mansions or something.
That's another one of those preamble jokes that nobody's going to understand. Yeah. All right. Nick's Weird Games. We need a theme song, and so I want to, since we're live again, but even though it's not different at all in any way, shape, or form, I want to try to give you something that you'd be on board with, something that resonates well with your
so
stylings.
we don't do like 13 takes.
Yeah, or at
like
least...
we normally do.
How about a little bit of in honor? Actually, I think just because the fan made one was so good. By the way, on the it's on the Twitter account as well, but please go check out.
I already get started on writing the lyrics for this one.
Yeah, well, it's gonna okay. Go check out. There is a version of. Okay, it's on the subreddit. Limp Bizkit's Rollin', that it is, yeah.
You're struggling for the title there.
I was. It's so fucking good. You guys have to go see it. Roundtable Twitter account or Roundtable Reddit. It is so good. But anyway, give me a little bit of Limp Bizkit loving, will you? Limp Bizkit.
Right, I'll do my best with Rollin', and they've already handled the chorus, so I'm going to do a verse, okay?
Yeah.
So just imagine that we're coming out of the keep rolling, 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 then it'll be like...
Nick's Weird Games, Weird Games, Weird Games.
Yeah, exactly. You want to guess the Nick's Weird Game? You can't get someone needs to be like yes and then why.
Yeah.
It's call and response. Okay.
Right.
You want to guess the Nick's Weird Game?
Yeah.
You can't guess the Nick's Weird Game.
Why?
Because it's from '02. And then you go like or something.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Okay.
And it's a Japanese RPG. You see this publisher right here?
Yeah.
They haven't existed since 2001.
What?
So you better get some Wikipedia and get yourself online. Has he got the game yet? I won't complain yet. 24/7. Never begging for a rain check.
No worries.
All right.
No worries.
All right, that was good.
It's
That was
okay.
good.
I got your back, man.
We need
No
we need
worries.
another Nick's Weird Games theme song emote to spam. I don't even know what we would do there, but that's gonna have to happen for Twitch chat. Oh
All
man,
right.
great.
You guys ready for this?
Yes.
Okay, we're dealing with a PS1 game today. I think we've transcended now or gone back a little bit from the usual
We've
PS2
done all
game.
the PS2 games.
There's more. I'm just taking a break.
Yeah.
Little sidestep. This is actually a very important game in the history of video games. For a
Parappa
few
the
reasons.
Rapper.
Excuse me?
Sorry, go ahead.
NFL
It
Game
is
Day,
a-
1998.
No. I think you all actually have a chance at this one. It's a first-person shooter. It came out in November 30th, 1996 in North America.
Oh, that was the first Call of Duty.
Nope.
Yep.
No.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
It is, okay, this is the point where you're probably going to get it right here. The developer, it's the first game by the developer Insomniac Games,
Didn't they do that like weird?
who would later go on to create such games as Spyro the Dragon and Ratchet and Clank and the Resistance series. Yeah, Disruptor is the game, and I just said it
okay.
because
Wait, what?
because I'm an idiot. No, I was just starting to read a line, and that's honestly what happened.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, no, once I said Insomniac, I assumed that the whole chat would flood with it, and then I just started seeing, yeah.
Oh, that's great. All right.
I'm sorry, I didn't give you a fair chance at that one.
Let's give Twitch chat a point for that one, I guess,
wouldn't
right?
doubt that anyway.
Ruined!
Oh, that's really
so
good.
the first one I see in here is probably Steger,
Oh, nice.
Come on.
I think.
Yeah, here's
Eager Games. Not your friend's developer, for those not in the know.
I think that's the first one.
That's funny. All right, well, do you want to keep describing Disruptor? Because I'm actually kind of curious now.
Yeah. So let me read the back. Your mind is the ultimate weapon.
Let me see the cover art, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Oh, man, that actually looks kind of cool for a PlayStation game. I like
Yeah.
that.
As a new recruit of the elite Lightstormer Corps, you possess the latest in high-tech weaponry and training to unleash incredible amounts of firepower on the enemies of United Earth. Environments of the future. Race through 13 unique levels of heart-pounding, high-speed action with 20 real-time 3D interior and exterior environments. Awesome firepower. Battle 20 intelligent and deadly enemies with an arsenal of 9 big guns and use psionic weapons of the mind to blast the bad guys to oblivion. Enter a universe of intense action and Disruptor.
There you go. I'll tell you what, man. I gotta say, you got a pretty good track record going through 20 episodes without accidentally naming.
Yeah,
the game.
sorry.
So, it's just unfortunate that it had to happen the first time we're
know.
live on Twitch. But
I
you know.
really am conscious of that, and I usually pre-read the back of the box too. And this time, I just didn't do it on the wiki.
Oh man, that's just really funny.
I failed you all.
It's all right. It was good. All right. That is Nick's Weird Games, and that just about neatly wraps up our first installment of Roundtable Live. Woohoo!
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. Thank you guys very much for joining us live, and if you didn't catch the entire show, if you just want to see it again, the VOD will be up hopefully today. Barring no unforeseen circumstances, it should be up within like 5 hours, so VOD will be up every Tuesday. We are planning on doing these every Tuesday at 11 it's PST again now, right? Just because the thing shifted over.
We're in savings time.
Okay, so yeah, Pacific Standard Time. I think it's like standard and then daylight for whatever weird reason. But yeah, that is the plan moving forward. We will hopefully be able to go live at that scheduled time from this point on. And of course, still got to give a shout out to those patrons. By the way, Mathis, can you give me a breakdown of what's going on with the Patreon now?
Sure, I'll pop it back open. If you are a patron, I sent a notice out to every single patron of every tier to let everybody know what's going on. So we have officially removed because there's no more live table, round table broadcasts.
That's a much better name.
We've officially removed the $75 tier. In turn, I've just opened up a few more slots on the $50 tier. For those who are curious, $50 tier allows you to choose one topic a month that you'd like us to cover, and we'll try and go through the list and like cover like a topic a week or whatever. And we have removed officially the stretch goal for once a week podcast because we're fucking doing it anyway. So that's really the only big change that's happened. And if more things change, obviously everybody will be informed. But we didn't want to leave that reward tier up for something that's never going to happen again. So,
and important to note for those of you who are at that higher tier, you want to make sure that you reselect your rewards because Patreon is kind of silly as far as that's concerned, and they don't automatically reassign you to the next highest reward tier. So go into your account, make sure that you've got the proper thing selected. We'll keep you in the loop because we can see you on a list, but just so you know that.
Put $109 tier? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
The patrons we want to thank for this episode, though, include, but are not limited to, Max Spillman, Christopher Flagg, Positron, Alexander Spillman, Jonathan Graham, Julian Abelsgard, Kevin Birkland, Matt, David Bradley, Air Force Balls, General Crunk, Casey, Zor, Simph, Kevin, hashtag Chloe Deserve Better Walker, Ignacio0891, Brizzlebrip, Justin, Gidus van der Vet, Logan Ray, Smurfette, T-Page Tenor, Matthew Monahan, Adam Savages, Blowholes, Johannes Goldhan, Mediocrities, Null Ref, and Myth Scarab. And if any of you are around right now, by the way, stick around through the end of the show. We'll hang out and talk to you for a bit, as well as all the other patrons. So thank you guys very much for your continued support. And also, you probably saw it already, there is actually a subscription tab underneath the video player for the Roundtable Podcast Twitch account as well. We're going to have a few cool emotes to throw on this channel very soon, ideally by next week's show. And we're planning on having a couple more things. As I mentioned, ideally we'll have like a Fire Mathis emote and like some other silly fun shit at some point. But yeah, that's mostly the subscription would be if you want to like support Twitch and us at the same time. That's the best way to do that. But we still do have the Patreon page running as well if you want to support the podcast directly. So both of those things exist. And that, I believe, should do it for the show proper. So, thank you very much for watching. And we will see you next week here at 11 a.m. Pacific time, right? Sounds about right.
2 p.m. EST.
Or 2 p.m. Eastern, yeah, whatever you want to call it. See you next time.
Later.